Hey man, what's going on? What's going on?
Not much.
The
They keep,
internet's best kept secret.
yeah, that's right. We are the internet's
That's
best
us.
kept secret, but they keep making these improvements to Zoom where it starts giving you notifications. Just so you know, you're live right now on a live stream. If you want to leave, leave now. And it's like, motherfucker, I started the live stream. You should know that I am the one that clicked start live stream, but it's telling me that even though my computer is the one that started a live stream, that if I want to leave because it's streaming, I'm allowed to.
Exactly. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. So
Perfect.
let's share all this stuff out.
Yeah, the almost awkward 1 minute in internet, and then we'll get it going.
I don't find it that awkward. I know
It's
you say
awkward for
it's
me
awkward.
because like I get frustrated because I'm always afraid our billions of fans in China are watching, or the CIA, depends on what you're looking for, I guess.
You're always afraid that the people are watching. How
Yeah.
does that make you frustrated?
Well, because I don't want to fuck it up, because I don't want people to be like, look at this asshole. Can't even share something on Facebook.
Whatever. I've been honestly, man, you've been doing live streams for a while too. So I would put you in the same category as me. But I've been doing live streams for several years. And at this point, I'm not afraid of fucking up on a live stream. I don't care. I can talk while I'm doing something like I'm doing right now. Although I do want to share this to my Facebook page and not a Facebook group, which I am doing as we speak. But with that said, I give no fucks if people are like, oh, you misspoke while you were talking or while you were sharing something or whatever. And those
Exactly. So
links are all out.
how have you been this week, my friend? How have you been?
All right, man. How about you?
Hey, always good, always good, always good. Going
Cool.
back to work starting tomorrow.
Awesome. Oh, wow. That's really good to hear.
No, gyms will not be open, but I am back because I am management and I got stuff to do. So I will be back tomorrow to do it all. And yeah, it should be fun. Hopefully the Ontario government gives us the okay. Sounds right now they're going to push. They might be pushing a stage 3 back as of yesterday with Doug Ford's announcement. So we
maybe
don't
pushing
know.
it back further, like later.
Yeah, so they assume that with stage 3, because we've gone through stage 1 so well and stage 2, they figured, hey, open it up, give us a few days extra, open it up. Everything seems to be going ahead of schedule. And he said, listen, man, I listen to the people, my medical professionals, so I'm going to open it when they tell me I can. So we're not even looking at opening it early. We may be opening it late. We don't know what we're doing. As long as the numbers stay the way they should, we'll figure all that out. So to me, I'm like, all right.
That's fair. I give Doug Ford credit. I'm not necessarily a fan of conservatives, but Doug Ford is a conservative. I think he's handled this pandemic well. A lot of people have criticized him, but I've even said on this show several times that even with Rob when he was on, and I know he's a left-leaning person too. He said Doug Ford's done a good job. He slipped up a couple times, but he's always admitted, you know what? This wasn't right. We're going to do it differently this time around.
Well, yeah, and he was never a politician. Like he kind of was a politician, jumps into it, says, I'll make Ontario good. Pandemic comes a year in. No, he's not a 10-year vet or a lifetime, political person, party person. He's all of a sudden he gets in and he goes, hey, we're going to shut down everything.
Is he not a lifetime, like a career politician? I know his brother was a politician.
Career politician. He was not. I believe he was a business owner.
Oh, I thought they were both sort of like brothers who were both politicians.
Everybody's a politician, I guess, right? But he kind of got into it at the end, and then became the premier. Pardon me, prime minister's a little premature, I think. No, but like I said to him, like I gotta give him a wash because like how the hell would I handle a pandemic? I don't know how I would handle it. Do you know what I mean? How would you handle a pandemic?
I don't know. I hope I would handle it well, but.
Well, hey, man. So, I mean, hey, he's out there giving it his all. So, I mean, that's good for us. It's good for him. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? So, hopefully, we're back open and going, and hopefully, everything goes good. So, back to making real money next night tomorrow, which is great.
Yeah, man, you're back to work. That's great. And we don't really know when gyms are going to be opening, but hopefully soon. I think.
Hopefully.
I think even for the mental health reasons, it's a good idea to open up gyms again. At this point, most people should have at least their first jab, right?
Well, I would think now this is funny. I know a lot of people who are not getting it, I thought it was weird because I was like, I just assumed everybody was like me. Let's just, you know what, bite the bullet, take it down. I don't like it. I'm going to do it anyways to get rid of the masks and have everything going again, like so we can have some fun and do all that stuff. Nope. Some people don't even. Some people are like, no, I got a buddy who's like, no, I'm good.
Are they anti-vax people?
No. He's like, so his issue is he's like, so we're sports fans. So the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens, double vaxxed, positive for COVID, had to leave Montreal for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, well, if he got COVID and he's I think he was double Pfizer, why the hell should I get it?
So there is I can understand some of the arguments like that. But I mean, the vaccine will help you fight it off quicker. For me, one of the things that I've heard as an argument against getting it is if you're young and healthy, you're not going to get sick. So you're better off, you might as well just not get it. For me, the main reason I got the vaccine is because I'm around young children who can't get vaccinated. I'm around people who may be immune deficient and they can't get the vaccine. So I figure it's a responsibility that I have to get to protect the people around me. In that instance, if I get COVID, hopefully, I mean, unless it's one of these variants that I don't totally understand, it'll help me fight it off quicker and prevent me from spreading it to someone. If I fight it off in a day rather than a week and a half, that's a good thing, right?
I'll take that, right? Like that lost week of pay or whatever, you beat it in a day, you're good, right?
Yeah, man. So
I mean, hey, man, I mean, it is to everybody else, but at the same time, I don't really care. Just don't push your stupid anti-vaxxer shit on me. I don't really care. Yeah. You go ahead, man. You just don't push your religion or anti-vaxxer on me. We're good. I don't really care.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see Ontario opening up. So, want to get into the news?
Let's do it, buddy.
Okay. Where do you feel like starting today? We got quite a few stories, a lot of crazy stories.
Why don't we do it this way? Why don't we kind of pick up where we left off last week with Brittany?
Sure.
And then we'll go into Cosby, and we'll kind of snowball our way through that one. How does that sound? Oh, for any of our American friends watching, happy 4th of July, guys.
Happy 4th of July. We didn't have a Canada Day this year.
I don't want to talk about it, but I still celebrated it. You guys can all kiss my ass.
Oh, what? You celebrated it after the speech you gave last week.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm happy with those guys. You want to talk? Let's talk about Canada Day then. Let's get right into that.
Sure.
So I stand by what I said about holding the Catholic Church accountable and holding.
What about Canada? Holding Canada.
Absolutely correct. But
okay.
when they marched on Canada Day and they marched down in Ottawa, which they did, and it was peaceful protest, and it was amazing to see everybody coming out to support the children, the voiceless children, which I thought was amazing, and stand behind them. But at the same time, I'm looking at it now. They're burning churches down. More got burnt down in BC, so I think they're up to 6 now.
Yeah.
A couple of the statues got pulled down of Queen Elizabeth and some other stuff, and our American friends are kind of laughing at us. So my American friends are laughing at me because they're like, we're tearing down racist people. You're tearing down the Queen. And I'm like, do you follow the Queen? We don't. I'm like, I'm not getting into this with you, buddy. But like, it kind of doesn't make sense to me. But yet again, when is Trudeau coming out with the statement saying, like, he come out and said, it's not the right way to do it. But then when questioned on if he's going to tax the religions of the world, he declined to comment on that, and things to that nature.
That's an interesting. That would be a bit of a process to get done, but I'd like to see that happen.
So I mean, to me, it was like, okay, you know what? Like those kids are always going to be in my mind, and I think that for Canada Day, I was hanging out with my family, anyways, at home, something small because it was, I don't know how it was up there, but it was thunderstorming down here, but still kind of went through the process, and I had a couple. But you always think about that too, right? You always got to make sure that I have these freedoms. These guys unfortunately didn't have a voice, but you got to remember the people that didn't either, right?
Yeah.
So.
I saw some posts that kind of pissed me off about it. Like people saying we have, and it's a white politician that I saw, and he's like, we have 364 other days to be sad about these other things. Today, I'm going to celebrate Canada Day. And it's like, maybe check your privilege a bit. And like, you are white, so you have the ability to celebrate and turn off these feelings, but the people who are affected, maybe they don't have the ability to do that.
They don't. Yeah, and I didn't put any photos up or say,
No.
Happy Canada Day. I did celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day, but you don't know who that is, or Bonilla Day, you don't know who that is. Sports guy, but it's okay. No, but like, I also remember, like, on my street, I got a bunch of like we have flagpoles in a lot of yards, and there was a lot of orange flags hanging on Canada Day, and there was no Canadian flags, which I was like, you know what, that's great. So, you can say to yourself, I love the country. For the most part, the country's good. Yeah. We have to bring the shitty stuff we've done to the forefront, and we have to hold the people accountable. Like, that's what we have to do. And that's what makes Canada great. Hopefully we can do it in a proper way. Because my only concern is, if you're going to burn churches down, you're going down a slope. Just hope that one of the firefighters is not a volunteer firefighter, goes in to save that church and dies. Then that's on you, and you're no better than the people from the past that you're trying to do it for, right?
Well, whether they're volunteer or not, I don't want to see anyone die, and I don't advocate burning down a church. I'm not sure. I mean, you may not agree with the church, but burning it down isn't going to accomplish much.
I think we talked about it on the show, like almost like what they have with like Auschwitz and stuff, like leaving those as reminders and saying this is what happened, and then making it a place of remembrance and grieving, and a grieving area to say we can't do this again. Like that's what we need to do. You can't go like, oh yeah, me and 20 years down the road, me and your dad burnt down that church there. Now you don't want that as a story. You want the story of saying, like, we had the 187 we found, we made tombstones for them, we raised the money, that church got shut down, now it's a memorial, and here's shoes and things to that nature. I think that's a way to do it, not burn it down. I honestly think, because I don't want anybody to get injured.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I totally agree with the idea of keeping the church around or whatever. I don't want to see it burnt. But you do bring up an interesting point that I was thinking a lot about. Is one thing that I've tried to articulate to a few people that maybe they didn't quite get it, that you seem to be on board with, is if you're going to be proud of being a Canadian, you should be proud of more than just being born here. So in order to be proud of things about Canada, you should also be honest and be unhappy about some of the other things that there are to be unhappy about. Because if you're just blanket statement, I'm Canadian, so no matter what, I'm always happy about Canada, I think that's not as legitimate as being proud of things. Because there are things to be proud about as a Canadian, but you also have to acknowledge you have to be honest. If that pride is going to be honest, you have to also acknowledge the negatives and be a bit ashamed or a bit unhappy about those as well.
Correct. Like the things you want to be proud of, you also have to be, this may sound a little weird, but you have to be proud to say that we fucked up and we want to fix that. Like it has to be all part of being proud, is saying, you know what, here's what we're good at. Universal healthcare, for the most part, we're happy with, helping people out. We're a peacekeeping country. Here's what we did bad, and then start naming them off, right? And going, this is what we want. We got to fix this.
Yeah. These are a part of who we are. We need to own it, and we need to make sure it doesn't happen again and learn from these mistakes. It's part of our past, but it won't be part of our future. And there are things going on with Aboriginal, Native American communities that we can fix right now, and we need to fix right now. And it's important to think about that too.
Well, it's true, and I didn't go to Ottawa because I try to avoid like large crowds now. But like my question for some of these people that are out there, and I seen it on Facebook. It seemed like a lot of people were out there just for like kind of face, like they were out there taking photos. Oh, look where I am, and you see all these people walking down the street in Ottawa. I don't know what street it was, and you're like, well, why aren't you marching with them? Why are you up on a hill getting a photo saying I'm here? You know, and then you mentioned like, hey, are they trying to get like? And then I made a comment and it got deleted, and I got one of these and a possibly unfriend request. I said, are they asking the government for drinking water for their for the northern reserves? Yeah. And I got why would you ask that question now? And
that now seems like the time to ask those questions.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me right now? Like, yes, absolutely. Like, that's how you do life. If you need something and the government owes you a couple, you shoot for the star. You go, this is what we need. And now as I say this, it may sound a little like asshole-ish. You already needed it before. Like, we know you needed it. but like now the government has to, like, it sucks that our governments are
You
like
believe
this.
in striking when the iron is hot. And right now, this is a very hot topic. And it's the time to say, hey, if you actually feel bad about this, there's some other shit that's going on right now that you can fix. And that would be what you mentioned.
Exactly. And for some reason, the person was like, fuck you. And then I was like, okay, so you really don't know anything. And then it was like, comment. And then I went to click on, like, when you get the little notification, I clicked on it and it was like, page not available. I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, I know what happened there. Ha ha.
Sounds like they're performative in their social justice warrioring.
Oh, it's fantastic. Use the platform for good, not for your own good. Use it for other people's good. But that's neither here nor there.
All right, so you want to get into Britney Spears. Oh, am I losing you here? Oh, what's going on? Have I lost you? Fuck. I'm sorry, man. I don't know if that's my end or your end. I'm getting a frozen screen. Am I freezing or are you freezing? Fuck. Fuck. I don't really know if I am freezing right now, so I'm going to just navigate towards the YouTube. I seem to have internet working, and I'm just taking a look to see. It looks like I am talking to myself on YouTube right now. So I'm going to hold on and try and fill the air until I can figure out what the hell's going on with Jean-Marc. Let's just send him I'll check my messages here. And that is not Jean-Marc. Gonna send him a voice message live on the air. Hey, buddy. I got a frozen video on my end, and you don't seem to be here anymore. And YouTube is going on with me and not you. So I believe your signal has dropped. Let me know what's going on. If you'll be back in a second, I'll keep the show going. And if not, I'll stop her and we can start a new one in a second or two. I'm gonna have to see what Jean-Marc says to that. And I don't think anybody's really watching. Let me just check. We got 1 like, 1 thumbs up, 3 people watching. If you're watching, now would be a great time to leave a comment in the stream and we can interact a little bit. Let me know who's in the chat. I'm gonna turn this to live chat. Haven't heard anything from Jean-Marc. Looks like he hasn't been online in a little bit. I still have him in here. Only 1 participant on my Zoom call. Yeah. Well, if I don't hear from Jean-Marc, oh, here we go. I think I got a message from him right now. Internet went down again. Okay, so the internet is down. I think that means we're going to have to stop the show because the internet being down is not something that's going to get fixed in a short period of time. We had a wild show tonight. Obviously, we're going to talk about Bill Cosby, Britney Spears. We're going to talk a little bit about Terminator. Let's see what else. We got Terminator, Bill Cosby, Shakara Richardson, Sopranos, a lot of fun stuff. Of course, we were going to get into Loki. I don't know what's going on. Jean-Marc's internet is down, so I'm going to end the show. Let's just call this one a preview of better things to come next time around. Going to stop streaming, and thanks for watching. Like I always say, if you oh my God, look at that! We got a hot tag. Jean-Marc has returned. And just as I was about to end the show, Jean-Marc is back.
Jesus, man. Internet went down again. I'm not happy with Kojiko at 8 o'clock on a Sunday. It always goes down.
Wow.
Yet again, we're going to have another conversation. Kojiko and I.
That was something. When you said your internet went down, I thought it was like down. So I was going to end the show and pick up when your internet picked up. But
here, I reset the modem. I swore a curse, said a few languages, a few things that I didn't need to say. The wife looked at me a little puzzled, but we're back and we're ready to go. And internet should be good now.
Okay. Wow. Fuck.
So, man, like we were saying, Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. Yeah, man. Did you watch? Hey, did you watch me on the show? Did you watch me on YouTube? Did you see what I was saying? Oh, okay.
I did.
Cool.
I did.
Man, I'm a bit of an egomaniac. I need that validation. All right. So we've got Britney Spears. Let me just see. Bring up my notes here. All right. Britney Spears, as we were saying in the previous weeks, she's been in a 13-year conservatorship. Her father, Jamie Spears, is in charge of both her personal and financial situation. Jody Montgomery was a temporary replacement for her personal father, stayed in charge of her estate. She has not been able to be in charge of whether or not she can take lithium. She's been told she has to take lithium. She cannot use an IUD. A lot of really crazy things that you can't really believe is happening. So the new news is that her sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, has spoken out. Basically, a judge denied the motion to remove her father as in charge of this conservatorship. Jody Montgomery has been added, and Bessemer Trust was also added, but they've actually requested to be removed once they found out that this was sort of a hostile situation and that Britney was not on board with it. What do you think about all this?
What are we missing?
What do you mean, what are we missing?
So last week we talked about it. We say they're going to court this week, so we'll have something to talk about this week.
Yeah.
And now we are looking at, just give me one sec.
What's going on, man?
I got some random guy at my door, and I don't know who it is. But like door, I don't know. But anyways, like I was saying, dogs.
All right.
Like I was saying.
Let's try that take two. What do you think about all this?
Perfect, man. Thank you for the take two. Basically what I'm thinking is so we know Britney's bipolar. We know that because she's taking lithium and
okay, yeah.
And it's a proven.
I don't know if we know, but that's the likely speculation. But go
because
on.
She's taking lithium or something, whatever have you.
It's been speculated for years that she has bipolar. Lithium is apparently a treatment for it. So the story checks out. We don't really know, but the story checks out.
I'm not a doctor, but the story does check out. Okay. Then, I'm thinking, you and I are thinking after the show, Britney's going to be free. It's going to be, we're going to be good.
Yeah.
And then the judge says, no dice. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm reading everything. Anything that comes up, like if it's like the North Bay Tribune, I'm clicking on that Britney Spears because maybe somebody else has a different comment or something was picked up in court that would be like, this is the reason why. So I've read every single stupid link I could find. There's still no definitive answer on why she is not allowed to have her own money.
Yeah. It's a really bizarre situation because for it to last for this long, for a healthy, seemingly healthy young individual who is not, generally this is older people or people who are mentally unfit, they need somebody to take care of them. It's a bizarre situation. There's been this conspiracy theory behind the Free Britney movement where they're looking at her Instagram, and every time she posts, I saw that documentary you recommended last week, she posted a picture of a hole in a wall, and they're going, the hole in the wall is her way to freedom. That means she's enslaved, and they're twisting every word that she says and interpreting it, and you kind of look at it like, this is a little bit crazy, but then she comes out and says, no, yeah, you guys got it. That's all true. That was all 100%. They're going, woohoo, we figured it out. So then we know two things. We do know two things is she had a mental breakdown that got her into this situation. She wants out of it. So sorry, we know three things. And the other one is that she also wants out without a mental evaluation. That's an interesting caveat.
So there it is. So the judge was probably like, you get it. You get the mental, you go through all the screenings to make sure that you're, let's call it like you're capable of managing yourself. You go do all the testing, and we'll give you 3 doctors. You'll take one from your dad, you make one, and then the court will appoint one. And whatever the 3 doctors say, we'll let you go. And if it's all good, you're good to go. She says no.
Yeah, she says she doesn't want to go through this screening. So
something tells me she knows something's off. I got some questions, and maybe you can answer them for me here. So if Britney can't run her own show because she is not mentally stable, if they're saying that she's not all mentally there, why is she not in a hospital getting help? 2,
I don't know.
2, how much money has your dad actually spent of that money?
I believe that I don't know about how much money he spent about that money, but I remember reading last week, it was something like $80 million just in legal fees or some crazy amount that her side is fighting her father's side, but she's got to pay for both. So just there's money just being bled out because of this situation. As far as why she's not getting the mental health in a mental hospital, I mean, these are extremely wealthy people. And we know that she's not touring, right? She's, if I understand correctly, she's in Vegas performing every night. So it is possible that behind the curtain that we cannot see, that there's a lot of help that is in that environment. We don't know. We can only speculate. I don't know that. That's speculation. Again, between the two things that we know on both sides of this story is she started out with a mental health break, and the end of the story is she doesn't want to have a mental evaluation despite the fact that she wants her life back. Says to me that perhaps there are some mental health issues that we're not aware of, that everyone is respecting her privacy, as it's been said by people close to her. You have to respect her privacy. There probably is something that is still there. But I also think that I've heard some people like Dr. Drew, I'm a fan of, I listen to him. One of the things he said is, for it to be this long, it's at least time to try a lessening and sort of let her out of the leave the nest a little bit and see if she needs to come back. We can do it again. We loosen the reins a little bit, see what she does with a little bit of freedom. If she falls on her face and goes, I don't want to pardon the word, but goes a little crazy and does something that we're worried about, then we bring her back. Does that sound reasonable?
Sounds reasonable to me. It sounds reasonable to me. But now my question becomes to you is like, if they're afraid that she's going to break a contract with, let's say, Vegas, I don't know where she's performing. She's performing with MGM. Is that where she's performing?
I don't know. In Vegas, I don't know.
Wherever she's performing, she's probably got a contract.
Sure.
Now, she's probably signed that contract with the conservatorship, like her father, right? Said, you're going to do it. You're going to go in this conservatorship. Mm-hmm. I would just break that contract. You know what? It's not my money anyways. I'm basically broke. You've told me I'm broke. I just break the contract. I'm not performing anymore. Well, I walk away from the Vegas. What are you going to do? Sue me? Go ahead.
That's an interesting point, because one of the stories that's come out leading up to this is that she has refused to work as long as her father is in charge of this conservatorship. Now, since this ruling, I don't know if that situation has changed, but I know up until this ruling, that was one of the pieces of leverage that she was playing, is I'm just not going to work unless you guys change who is in charge. So that is a card that she has played. I will say that.
So then you're probably looking. So then if you want to support Britney and free Britney, don't go to her shows. Don't buy tickets. Don't go to her shows. Then she can't. They can't. You know what? You want to free Britney? Stand in front of the fucking casino and say, "Do you not go into a Britney Spears concert?" And you know what's going to happen? They're probably not going to go because they don't want to pass it to the line, and you'll be fine.
I'm not a Britney Spears fan, so I'm retroactively boycotting her for the rest of my life. However, I will say that the things that she has said about this, that she has to work 10 hours a day with no days off, she doesn't get paid, and she herself compared it in her statement. The only industry that's similar to this is sexual slavery. If I was a fan of anyone, or even not a fan, and I heard them describe their concert as something like that, there's no way I would go to it. Absolutely. There's no way, one way, whether we could see behind the curtain or not, that's enough of a peek behind it to say, you know what? I'm going to Penn and Teller across the street tonight instead of Britney Spears.
Bro, I love Britney. You know I love Britney. I'm a Britney guy. But like, if you're telling me I'm going to Penn and Teller or Britney Spears, I'm going to Penn and Teller 10 times out of 10. Dude, I love those guys.
That's awesome. Glad we can agree on at least that.
Yeah, exactly. No, but like guys, if you're not a fan, don't support.
Yeah, well, even if you are a fan, I would say don't support.
If you're a fan, go stand in front of it. You'll social justice for other things, but you won't stand in front of. Go say Britney. Stand in front of the casino and let people in. Mm-hmm. And the casino will fire Britney right away. Let her out of her contract, probably tax free or no, with no penalties, because people are spending money in their casino. It's like, no, we're not going near there. So yet again, it might be a win-win. And then when the money dries out for Britney, as horrible as this sounds in the conservatorship, then they'll be like, well, there's nothing to conserve. All the money's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Well, her one of the people who was running her conservatorship has described it as one part conservatorship, one part business venture, or something along those lines. So once the business venture part goes away, um, and that is an interesting point, is if she is this mentally unfit, perhaps the business part should go away. Like you said at the beginning of this video, is why isn't she just focused on getting well? That is an interesting point, is why is she working 10 hours every day if she's unwell? If she's made her money, she's made more money than a lot of people will ever make. Perhaps it should be, I mean, maybe we don't focus on canceling this conservatorship because we don't know what's going on behind that curtain. Sure, let's concede to that, but then maybe she shouldn't be working too, right? Like there's,
Well, that's it. Like, so if I'm Brittany, and I go, I'm gonna throw my hands up. I'm gonna go to a hospital. I'm gonna go to a mental health hospital. When I come out, I want my conservatorship money. And they go, I want that gone. They go, no. Then it's a whole different ballgame. Okay, so the father's paying you off with Brittany's money. What's more important, somebody's well-being or the money that they're creating, things like that nature. Like you said, a business venture. And I think Britney Spears is one of the, like, almost like Michael Jackson type when it came to like sponsorships, right? And it was like, build the brand up, build the Britney brand. And as we know now as brand, like Michael and Britney and some of the other pop stars were the first to do it. So that's why I think it seems like a business venture, is because Brittany lost a lot when she had her mental breakdown in, was it 08 or was it, well, before that, I think, eh?
It was early 2000s. I don't know the exact year.
Well, whatever it happened, like she lost Pepsi and she lost a bunch. She had her own lines of makeup and stuff like that. She lost all that. Like at one point she was worth, I think it was $350 million. I was just reading a Forbes article before the show, said she's now down to $60 million.
I mean, that's still more money than I'll ever see in my entire life. So
yeah, but like you just said, though, the blood sucking lawyers, 80 million. Like you start pissing that away, right? So Brittany,
right.
Brittany, if you're hearing this, or a Brittany fan is hearing this, support Brittany by not going to her shows. And if Brittany needs help, let's get her the help Brittany needs so that she can get out of this conservatorship and business partnership, as somebody would like to call it.
I just want to circle back and restate the point that I was trying to say, because I don't know if I was totally clear about it, though, is on the one hand, if she's mentally fit enough to be performing, perhaps she shouldn't be in a conservatorship. And on the other hand, if she is in a conservatorship, perhaps she's not mentally fit enough to perform. So what I'm saying is you can't have it both ways. She should be in Vegas in charge of her own life, or she should be back in Missouri, I believe she's from, where people are taking care of her. Her family can take care of her, but she doesn't have to work these 10-hour shifts every day.
Absolutely. I'm with you 110% on that. That's exactly, cool. We're on the same page.
So you want to talk, let's see, we got another story here. I mean, fuck, let's just.
Yo, have you had Jell-O this week at all?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Let's just get into Bill Cosby is a free man, and the legal system has.
Say that one more time for me.
Yeah, Bill Cosby is a free man, and the legal system has failed us.
What the fuck? Okay.
Okay, I just gotta say before we get into this, and I have some technical details that I do want to get into a little bit later, but when you sent me this story, I was preoccupied. I looked at my phone, and Jean-Marc sends me an article that says Bill Cosby is free, no longer in prison. I go, this kind of clickbait bullshit is this? And I click on it, and I'm like, holy fuck, Bill Cosby is legitimately free. Like this story is true. It's 100% true. He's out of prison and a free man despite being 100% guilty. I couldn't believe it.
Dude, I fucking talk about like walking women back quite a few years. I feel bad for the victims of Bill Cosby. Like one of them came out and said, like, now all the suffering she's gone through, he was going to prison, the healing process started, and now you just take that Band-Aid or scab and rip it right off and even open it up even more. What in the backwards fuck am I missing in the United States where that stupid old fucking bastard is walking free?
So do you want me to explain the technicality of
Please
this?
explain to me. Listen, and I'm not going to lie to you. When I heard it, I thought for sure onion bait, all this bullshit.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it either. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. You know, if I didn't believe it, you know who's really not going to believe it? You. I sent it to you and I said he's free. I tell the wife, I go, Bill Cosby's out. And then she kind of like went silent. And then she's like, why? Like, that's not even a joke.
Yeah.
I was like, no. Seriously, he's out. And she's like, what?
That's so fucked. It came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere because I didn't even know he had an appeal in, and apparently it was going below the radar. But I will explain to what happened. Now it's stuff that I will admit before I try to explain it. It's beyond me. It's a legalese. A lot of people have said it was a plea bargain. That's not true at all. It's honestly more like a game of chess that these two sides were playing against each other. So to start off, we got to talk about the Fifth Amendment. As best as I can understand, the Fifth Amendment only protects you in a criminal case. It doesn't protect you in a civil case. It's my best understanding, and you're going to have to talk to a lawyer if that isn't true.
Yes. That's exactly what it is.
That's how that works. Okay, that was news to me. I didn't realize that. I thought it would protect you from incriminating yourself. So the Fifth Amendment is the right to not incriminate yourself. Apparently, that's only in a criminal case. So this was a civil case that Bill Cosby was in, and I have the name of the woman who he was in the civil case with is Andrea Constand.
Yep.
So he was in the civil case with her, and the lawyers wanted him to testify about what happened. And you are compelled to testify about anything that the court wants you to talk about, unless you can plead the Fifth Amendment. So he obviously pled the Fifth Amendment. He didn't want to tell anyone the terrible things that he did. However, once he pled the Fifth Amendment, his lawyers not his lawyers, the opposing lawyers, the prosecuting lawyers, the plaintiff's lawyers, actually, in a civil case, basically, they looked at all the evidence and they said, there's no way this will ever go to a criminal case. We don't have enough to criminally convict him. So they said, you can't plead the Fifth Amendment because we will never make this a criminal case. We won't make this a criminal case. It's not going to be a criminal case. So the Fifth Amendment doesn't apply. Therefore, you do not have the right to use the Fifth Amendment because there will not be a criminal case. And Bill Cosby testified, and apparently he admitted to everything that he possibly did, admitted 100%, gave graphic detail of everything he did. And then years later was convicted in a criminal case. And they basically said, well, the prosecution has already said, they made this promise that they will not convict him on a criminal case. And because of that, 2 years after he was convicted, he's free to go on this technicality.
So what you're telling me is that the woman he was in the trial with,
yes,
they said, listen, the civil case, they said, listen, here's the deal. They went in front of a judge. The judge says, it will not be used against you. Whatever you say was just for the civil case. It'll never be against you. He goes out. So they figured like slipped him something in the drink and then slept with her.
But I want to specify that it was a back and forth thing. It wasn't a plea bargain. It was, he wanted to plead the Fifth Amendment. In order to get rid of his ability to plead the Fifth Amendment, they specified in court that it'll never go to a criminal case. Therefore, he didn't have the right to a Fifth Amendment. Therefore, he was obligated to testify.
And then that was the loophole that got him out of prison on the charges.
Yeah, that was the technicality that got him out of prison.
Okay. So that's what I can't figure out is that, so it happened so the reason he got out was because he was in a civil case before.
Yes. In a civil case before, the lawyers basically forced him to testify by saying it'll never go to a criminal case.
Okay. And then when he said everything.
Years later, these stories came out. This was years later. All these stories came out. People started pushing for a criminal case. It went to a criminal trial. He was convicted. And after he was convicted, they pulled out that, hey, we have a legally binding agreement that you would not criminally prosecute Bill Cosby. And even though it was 2 years into his sentence, they were able to use that to get him out. That's the long and the short of it.
Okay. So now, oh man.
Yeah, it's fucking, like I said, it's a back and forth game of chess. It's one up. Bill Cosby has somehow managed to get the last laugh on this, which is terrible. And we can say from a legal standpoint, from a following the process, Bill Cosby, I guess he has the right to go free, but on a moral On a moral standpoint, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And this is just a situation of the system doesn't work. That's the bottom line, right?
So well, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about the situation on how they got there. So the woman, the first woman,
Yeah.
who got him in the civil case,
Mhm.
they make this sweetheart deal. So the woman was, it seems like the woman was raped and deserves money and all this stuff. But then
Mhm.
she goes, well, you got to say something. Then he goes into graphic detail and they go, holy fuck, I didn't know it was that bad. He admits to everything, goes, yeah, it's all me. I don't give a fuck. You're not going to prosecute me now.
Mhm.
Right. At what point should they have just stopped and just said, like, in the civil trial, and said, you know what, you're going way too deep into this. We're done.
What
And
do you
then
mean?
just say, we'll get him in a criminal case.
You're saying that after he starts spilling the
Yeah,
beans,
like the minute, if you assume, like, you're like, okay, he gave me
you can't do that once you make that agreement. That's what's happening here is once they made that agreement. And the reason that sort of technicality is there is because that way, when you, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm trying not to speak above what I know, but from what I've had explained to me is this is to protect people in those situations, because why would anybody ever agree to divulge these things? It's similar to Carla Homolka for Canadians. Is she made a plea bargain, and once she exposed the parts that she had done, people thought she deserved more time, but you can't go back. You can't go back and take back the agreement that you've already made. They're legally binding agreements, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But then I'm looking at, like, the same thing with OJ, right? OJ,
Mhm.
not guilty in a court of law, goes to civil, you're guilty. You get sued by
That's
the
but
family.
that's because the burden of proof in a civil and criminal case are different. In a criminal, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil, it's which is are you likely to have been in some way responsible? And
Yeah,
that was
correct.
what
No,
he
but
was. They that's a whole different story.
no, no,
So that's another can of worms that I
but
don't really want to go
there's
too
so many
far down.
questions, and I don't want to make the victim seem like a cash grab. But, like, did she go to the police first to tell them what happened? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what happened to me, and they go, you know what? No
I
case because it's Bill Cosby. Because if that's the case, like, you could go after everybody. You could go after the lawyers, the judges, the cops. Everybody tried to bury that. You could really go after them.
What are you trying to go after these
So,
people
like,
for?
the woman who sued Bill Cosby for the sexual assault,
Yes.
and then goes, did she go to the police? Is always my question. And did the
Um,
police say, we don't have a case here?
I think that a lot of these people, and I'm trying to recall the story. I have done the research on it in the past. I believe that some of the people, I don't know about this specific victim, but I know a lot of the people did, and they were told it's not going to happen because it's Bill Cosby. I believe that in the case of, it's Andrea Constant, I believe.
Yep.
Let me just check. It's Andrea Constant. I believe in her case, she had waited until almost the statute of limitations had been met and then filed it at the very last second. I don't know if she had talked to the police. I believe there's all even like I'm not
But
using
you're
this
not,
as I'm not using this as an excuse to not have all the information, but I also believe there's several gag orders that were involved in this too. So some of the information may not even be
yeah,
out there.
yeah.
But with that said, she pushed for everything that she could in a civil case. And during that civil case, to answer your question, she was told that there's no way that a criminal case could be done. That's probably also why she waited until the last possible moment to file a civil case, because they were probably looking into a criminal case at the same time too. That's my guess, though.
Now, was there not other females involved in this? Now, do I not remember a list of women that came out against Bill Cosby?
There was something like 60 or 30 or like a ridiculous amount of women who said that. What I recall from this story when it broke was that almost all of the statute of limitations had been exceeded for the people who were coming forward, but there was like this one Hail Mary that they got him with in this case where he was eventually convicted. That's what I recall. Now it's been a couple of
And
years.
then, okay, so then the case was then the technicality that happened with the woman who sued him before, 2 years before.
Yeah.
So basically,
a lot of legal mumbo jumbo that got this guy off is the long and the short of it is.
So what they need to do in the States. Now I don't know the statute in Canada, but I believe murder and rape. I don't believe there's a statute. I believe you can go right to the end in Canada. I'm assuming because we're getting
for murder. Yes, I don't know about rape.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is because you're getting priests like 60 years later, 40 years later. So I'm assuming.
I don't know, but go on.
America, my friends, you need to open that statute to unlimited.
Yeah,
like you can't put a year down on a rape victim. Are you kidding me? Like what the fuck, man? Like, you guys want to talk about like the Me Too movement that you and I stand behind, and when we're all about the Me Too movement, get these pricks out of the way. Did we forget to close the fucking legal loopholes here? Like, so it's out of statute of limitation. Like that what that tells me is that there's a chance that Harvey Weinstein gets off.
Oh, well, that's what I'm afraid of.
That's
what a lot of the stories that I've been reading and trying to do my research on this, because it's a little bit beyond me, but a lot of people are saying that Harvey Weinstein is looking to exploit similar loopholes.
And same with Giselle.
The Epstein's chick. I didn't know that. Yeah. I had heard a little bit of.
That's the one I was reading. Was that one?
I had heard that Harvey Weinstein was, and I don't know. Like seems like a pretty specific thing to Cosby, but somehow Harvey Weinstein is actually exploring. So what are we at? We're at this legal system where if you have enough money, basically you can get away with anything, almost murder. You can get away with rape, apparently. And it's black and white, 100%.
And you can get away with murder too. Like we've seen this before, where people have walked away from murder charges. But like, why are we not closing these loopholes?
Well, I think that's what the Me Too movement is about. Is the only way you can close these loopholes is to make enough noise for something to change, and hopefully we can make these things change. But
now this is the problem that's happening, and it happens all the time with certain movements. And it seems right now the Me Too movement gets so far and gets rid of all these douchebags and dirtbags, and all of a sudden things get better. You start getting female heads of film companies, and you start putting females and diversity in, and then all of a sudden now it's like you stopped.
Yeah,
like the Bill Cosby going to court on an appeal, nobody heard about. The minute like he was charged, you're like, his trial's on this day. You knew right away. Now it was like, okay, he's gone. You know what? What else can we look at? Oh, we'll go this way. You forgot to hold it up, guys. You forgot to come back and go, okay. And I didn't even know that there was a statute of limitation on rape.
Yeah.
You know, or sexual assault. I don't want to offend anybody with the rape word. But like, dude, why did we close those? We had the perfect opportunity. Now you have an opportunity.
I don't know. I'm not, again, this is all, it's all beyond me. So I can't say, but I would imagine that changing the statute of limitations on any crime is gonna, I would guess it's got to go to the Supreme Court, or it's got to go to some court that's beyond just, hey, this wasn't right in this one case. We'd like that changed. There's going to be a long process. And again, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but that's going to be a hard process to change. And it should. It should. I agree. The one thing you said is there should be no statute of limitations on rape. And absolutely, because of all the crimes, never mind the heinousness of it, because of the heinousness of the crime, absolutely there should be no statute of limitations. That's one point. Yep. The second point that I would like to say is, because of the trauma that the victim goes through, oftentimes they're afraid to come forward for much longer. They need to have their trauma healed before they're able to talk about it. The process of talking about it re-traumatizes them. So for all of these reasons, there absolutely should not be a statute of limitations on sexual assault, rape, and of course, murder as well, right?
No, exactly. And some people may think of it like, well, what do you mean? Why do they wait so long? Because the reason they wait so long, like you said, is it's traumatic, and they push it down, and they try and forget one of the worst nights of their lives, and they live it over every time. And it's until they have the right support group where they feel comfortable enough, and they say, you know what, I can do it. And then when one person comes forward, they go, well, how the hell did she do it? And then you go, okay, well, she's in my back. Okay, we can do this together. And then you kind of get going. But now in America, catch up, man. Jesus Christ.
Well, I'm not sure we're much better, but
Hey, dude, I'm not saying we are, but we need to ensure that if you're a victim of anything traumatic, we should be able to come back and say, no, this isn't right. We need to fix it.
So before the show, you and I actually talked about this, and to add insult to injury, Bill Cosby has announced as soon as he got out of jail that he's planning on doing, I believe it's a 5-part documentary on himself to probably show that he's somehow sympathetic or in whatever light to rehabilitate his image. He's also doing a book, and he thinks he'll be doing stand-up comedy, which, let's be honest, he probably fucking will end up doing some stand-up comedy, because there are people who are going to probably support him no matter what the fuck.
You know what? Let's talk about this then. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. Whoever picks up that fucking series, if he goes for a series, and if somebody gives him a comedy special, I'm canceling their subscription right away.
Oh yeah. I agree. There's no way. There's no way anybody. And that's the thing is
who picks it up? Who picks it up?
I don't even really have an explanation for that. All I can say is he's got enough money to produce whatever documentary he wants. As far as releasing it, I have no idea, but we're also in a world where you can self-publish just about anything. So if he wants to put it on the internet, I'm sure he could do that. Is he going to sell it to Netflix or HBO or someone else? I have a hard time seeing anybody buying it. I mean, it's going to have to be one hell of a documentary that changes a lot of these details that we know, and something pretty substantial is going to have to come to light where it's like, oh, turns out it wasn't a rape, which I don't believe. I believe he absolutely did do these rapes, but I don't see a scenario where anyone's gonna be on board with it. I don't.
I don't either. And you know what I'm going to tell you right now? I will illegally find a way to download it. I don't even know how to illegally download. I will illegally watch it somehow.
Yeah. Well, I will say that the one thing that I am interested in is the book. I would read a book. I don't know if I would pay for it because I don't want to support him, but
I will download
hearing the thoughts, the just what the fuck this guy that you thought you knew is thinking or was thinking or whatever, I can't even call it justification, but hearing the thoughts of him, I'm interested in that, but I'm not willing to support him for that. So maybe I don't know, maybe I can
somebody give me
that.
the Cole's notes. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what? I'll watch it. Maybe for the show I'll read it, but I don't know. And here's another thing too. Like what I'm afraid of is he's going to double down and blame the victims here. He's that much of a scumbag piece of shit that he will double down and blame the victims, which he already kind of has in some of his interviews before he was arrested, saying like he used Quaaludes and in the 70s everybody was using them and the girls knew what they were doing, and then all this fun stuff like almost victim blaming as most rapists and stuff pieces of shit do. Is that so? I mean, I'm like, you're such a piece of shit. I won't go to a show. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll go to a Britney Spears show before I go to a Bill Cosby show.
We got a comment from Trev Poulang. By the way, Trev, I have seen your comments. I think we've answered most of them, so I didn't get a chance to acknowledge them. But says JM, you can't say you'd cancel whatever company would put out the and then say you'd illegally download it. He's saying you can't say you'd cancel whatever company would put that documentary out and then say you'd illegally download it. I think you could say that. I don't think
no. So what we said, Trav, open up your ears, but what we said was that I will cancel anybody that covers it. If HBO picks it up, I'll cancel HBO. But if it's on his own, I'll illegally download it. So if you said self-published, so if he self-publishes it, I will find a way to illegally watch it.
I disagree with what Trevor's saying here too, though. I would say if HBO puts it out, I'm going to cancel HBO and then I'm going to go on, somewhere where I can get a kick-ass deal and download it for free, right? I still might watch it. Exactly. I might watch it. I don't know. I know I said I'm interested in reading his book, and another part of me thinks I'm not really interested in hearing his side of the story either. I'm kind of two minds. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't bother with it.
Now, maybe they do it this way and I'd be okay with it. Maybe they did like the versus China. Maybe they take they wait till he dies. They take that documentary. Yeah. And then they add it in and they go, this guy was a real piece of shit. And then they give all the money to the victims. I think I'm okay with that. Right.
Well, I did think of the China documentary that we talked about on this show when I heard about this documentary, and I wouldn't watch a documentary that's about him that he makes money off of. But if somebody else controlled the narrative and took all the footage and did a good job of it and he didn't see any of the money, that might be a different story. I don't know. The long and the short of it is I don't want to support him, and I'm probably not going to really care so much about his side of the story either. He's a piece of shit. He doesn't deserve any. He doesn't deserve to have a voice. He should be behind jail. He doesn't deserve the freedom to say his side of the story anymore.
And I honestly think that once he dies, it'll be a good day.
Yeah. Well, once he dies, the world will be a better place.
Absolutely.
100%. All right, let's get on to the next story. Oh, and Pulai says he understands, he agrees. He says, okay. And he says, don't watch it. Don't even support it. Yeah, it's kind of where I'm getting at. As the words were leaving my mouth, I'm going, you know what? I don't really care what he has to.
No, anyway.
Yeah. All right, so let's get on to something else here. So we got Britney. We did Bill Cosby. We've covered. Sopranos, man. Did you see the trailer for the Sopranos sequel?
6 times, my friend. Saints of New York. I have watched that thing back and forth, man. Sopranos is my favorite show of all time. I literally started it when we got on our second lockdown. I'm on season 6, episode 10 of Sopranos. So I'm almost done it.
That is cool because I have never seen an episode of The Sopranos. I need you to tell me what I'm missing about this. What's all going on? As I'm watching it, there's 2 things that stand out, and I'm gonna just say. Firstly, is this guy does look like James Gandolfini is the guy's name,
yeah,
right?
his son.
Turns out after Googling it that it's his son in his first acting debut. The second thing that I'm watching, and I know it's a prequel to The Sopranos, is there's all these people that show up on the screen and they're significant. But as someone who's never seen The Sopranos, I'm like, who is this guy? Why is that significant? I don't really.
It's amazing. So it's actually an amazing way they're doing it. I was hoping they were going to bring it into a series for HBO with David Chase doing it, but it seems like they're doing one movie. They may do a second movie. And it kind of goes.
I thought it was a series, but I could be wrong.
No, it's a movie. It'll be in theaters. So my first thing was, wow, it's finally happening. Okay. So I've been following it since the beginning, and they've been showing I've been on Facebook and their Instagrams and Twitters and stuff like that, and enjoying watching them make the movie. And they're using, as they use characters' names, you see characters from The Sopranos that is on there that are in the trailer. So you're starting to see a tough guy, Paulie Walnuts. He's on there, and you see him the guy kind of gives the Paulie, and then real Soprano fans lose their mind when they're he grew up with a guy named Dickie Moltisanti. We know how Dickie.
Who is Dickie Monsanto? Who's this guy?
So basically, who he is in the regular Sopranos. One of Tony's best friends is his little cousin Christopher, and throughout the whole show, for the first couple of the seasons in The Sopranos, he talks about Christopher being a lot younger than Tony and says, "I grew up with your dad. Your dad's the reason I'm here." Mm-hmm. And I think it's in season 3, Tony tells Chris, Dickie's son, "Your dad died because this cop shot him. Go kill this cop." So Chris's first kill was the cop. So when they came out and said Dickie Moltisanti, I said,
you're going to see how he dies by the cop, or you're going to see I haven't seen the show, but maybe you'll see that Tony made that up to get him to kill that guy.
Yes, or maybe you're going to see... No. If you haven't seen that show and you haven't read that on the internet, that's what everybody's saying. Yeah. So what they're saying is that they could set this up so that you would go back and rewatch the seasons.
Yeah. You get to see all the stuff that he lied to the characters about
exactly, and you go,
"Oh, that's fucking brilliant!"
And you go, "Holy fuck, that's crazy!" So they're saying does Tony kill Dickie Moltisanti, or in the trailer to stay away from Anthony because we don't want him in this line of work, and he goes, "Yeah, we're just hanging out," and then all of a sudden now do they take care of him? Does the mob take care of their own to save Tony? And then Tony starts to say stuff. So all the characters, all the old characters that are in the regular Sopranos, their child versions are in the trailer.
Oh, that's cool. So is there let me ask, how did they do that? Did they do de-aging, or did they just find similar looking actors?
Similar looking actors. That's it.
Okay,
they
that's
didn't
cool.
do that aging, anti-aging stuff they did on The Irishman.
That's good. I think that's actually the better way to do it, because after seeing Mark Hamill de-aged, it's probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm still having nightmares about it. So
Yeah.
I don't want to get sidetracked on that. So I will say I've never seen The Sopranos, but I'm a huge fan of rewatchability. I love, prequels. I love even movies where you get to the end and there's like a plot twist that changes the context of everything you saw before it. So I'm excited about this. Maybe I'll actually go out and start watching The Sopranos.
So here's the thing, and let me explain to you on how The Sopranos always gets me. And there's like a couple of shows. So like The Sopranos, like when you're a kid, I think it came out when we were kids, like I think 99, I believe it came out.
I think it was in the 2000s.
Was it in the 2000s? I know it ended in the 2000s, but I thought it was. Anyways, whenever it came out, I didn't understand some of the jokes. Okay. Like you just don't know who that person is. Like they make like a comment and you're like, I don't understand that. But okay, you start laughing, you giggle away, and you move on. And then all of a sudden it's like, you go back and you're like, holy fuck, it's hilarious.
Okay. Can you give an example? Because you've lost me here.
Okay, no so the one joke's like, yeah, I don't want to play for the Mets. Or one joke was like, yeah, and I want to fuck Angie Dickinson. And I'm Andrew Dickens, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Even to you, you're like, that doesn't make sense. But when you realize the character's in his 70s, and then you Google her, or you find out who she is, and she was like this smoking hot Playboy model, and you're like, oh, fuck, okay, that's funny. And then you start picking up on things in The Sopranos that they talk about. So the rewatchability is through the roof.
Cool. Yeah, that's one of the things that I like. So because of the rewatchability, so this is an interesting situation where because of the rewatchability, I see this, you've convinced me that I should maybe go watch The Sopranos. So this is like the best advertisement for The Sopranos is to make a prequel for it. In order for me to get the prequel, I got to watch the rest of The Sopranos.
And another cool thing is that they have now they're doing watching Sopranos, I believe it is, with two of the characters have a podcast.
Oh.
And they go every episode. So then they talk about the episode, they talk about where they went with it, and then they talk like a lot of behind the scenes stuff for each episode. So like you're like, what the fuck were they thinking on this one? And then you can go, oh shit, that's what they were thinking. And they kind of go through like David Chase, the director, on what his mindset was. And it's really good. And the show aged very well. Like I think that you can go back. They didn't use any stupid special effects. You know what I mean? Like you would go back and watch them. You're like, oh, that's horrible. It's all natural. The only thing that you got to get used to is like the cell phones.
No cell phones.
Well, no, there are, but they're all flip phones. There's no smartphones or anything like that.
Okay.
And some of the stuff that'll just go, you know what? That makes sense for the time. And even now, they still have the same issues.
So, as someone who watched it when it first came out, and as someone who's rewatched it several times and is rewatching it now, you're saying it holds up. That there's no sort of time you had to be there to understand that. It's all stuff
it'll all blend in. The only thing is if you're going to start watching The Sopranos, you got to understand that coming later on in the seasons, James Gandolfini was turning down movie roles for The Sopranos because it was taking up all of his time. Yeah. He basically told HBO, I need more money because I'm like, this is what I'm losing on movies. I need you guys to pay me more. HBO said no. Gandolfini said, I'm not working then. Then they were on hold for a while for a couple of seasons. So you'll go from seasons where the Soprano kids are, AJ's a little chubbier, and then all of a sudden he loses a lot of weight. Okay. You're like, holy shit. And then Meadow gets older, and you're like, okay, she's super attractive. And then you're like, okay, so what's going on? You're like, yeah. So then it just kind of goes on, and you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden when you watch it and you realize that, it's amazing. It's just a whole.
You're saying show. There's some inadvertent continuity issues is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a great show. I honestly think if you're going to watch it, you're going to really enjoy it.
Yeah. So we got some comments in the chat. Trev says it's not a sequel. It's a prequel, isn't it? It looks awesome. Yeah, it is a prequel. Did we call it a sequel? I feel like
I thought it was a prequel.
I feel like we were pretty clear about it being a prequel the whole time, but that's all right.
It's all right. He's been drinking.
And Dan, now I'm gonna have to rewatch it before the movie comes out. So he's gonna go check out The Sopranos before the movie comes out. All right, cool. So you want to talk about the 30th anniversary of The Terminator?
Jesus, Murphy, man. What? Like, Imagine 30 years ago.
Yeah.
30 years ago. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think like when I was a kid 30 years ago, so I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that movie so many times
Yeah.
because my grandparents had like that big satellite dish, like that one,
So
like
my parents had that. Yeah, you saw that at my parents'
yeah,
house
yeah,
too,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. And then it was like if you got on one channel that was like the movie channel, it would
Yeah.
just continually loop one movie, and it was Terminator 2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
loved that movie as a kid. Did you like it as a kid?
as a kid, I watched, I loved it because
Okay.
I mean it was a really cool. It was the movie was ahead of its time. I think it did it did some CGI work. It had great
Yeah.
stunts in it. It had it, and it wasn't a hard movie to kind of follow. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I will say that for the CGI at the time, there's some pretty terrible CGI from 30 years ago. Every time I've gone back and watched it, maybe it's because I've already seen it and I've liked it, but it always holds up to me. It doesn't look shitty like shitty CGI to me.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty. It looks pretty good to me. And I was like, and then, but at the time too, when you're watching a movie like that, you
Mhm.
already expect the worst CGI, but it's
Mhm.
actually not bad. So you're like, all right, yeah.
I will say, ironically enough, the practical effects in the movie before it are the ones that stand out. Is when Terminator's got that metallic eye over his eye, and you can see that it's clearly like a shitty Halloween mask over top of it or whatever. So that's the one that stands out. With that said, I'm going to say this is one of the first movies where the sequel blows the original out of the water. The original is really good. It's more of a horror kind of movie, but sequel is the first sort of big blockbuster, and it was the first, one of the first. Empire Strikes Back was before it, of course, but it's one of the first movies where the sequel was better than the original.
Whoa, okay. Now I don't want to get off on a tangent. Are
Sure.
you saying that the second Star Wars is better than A New Hope?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Empire Strikes Back is way better than A New Hope.
Whatever. We're done. Moving right along.
Anyway, let's keep going on Terminator. However, I will say that pattern did not continue because after Terminator 2, not a big fan of the ones that came out after that.
Holy flying fuck, man. Like, that is crazy how bad it was. We're talking about it before the show. It was it Terminator 3, Terminator Salvation, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, all this other fucking malarkey that nobody really cares about.
Let's try and recall. Okay, so there was Terminator 3. I remember Terminator 3. A lot of people criticized it because they tried to make Terminator a little bit funny. There was a female Terminator. That was the big twist.
She a hot blonde?
What's that?
Was she the attractive blonde
She was
woman?
an attractive blonde, yeah.
Okay.
So then there was one, I can't remember what it was, but it had Christian Bale in it, and it took place in the future, and I think one of them turned out to be a robot or something like that. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember. I didn't watch it.
Excuse me. So there was that one came out. That one was probably one of the better ones out of them. And then there was Terminator, where he had an app, and the big plot twist. So Skynet was an app. That was it. As everybody was downloading the Skynet app, and it was going to infect everybody's computers and take over the world that way. And the big twist was John Connor was a bad guy in that movie. However, they showed the big surprise twist ending in the fucking trailer, which everybody was mad about, which even without that twist, it still was a shit movie. And then I think there was one where Arnold Schwarzenegger fought another younger Terminator of himself. And there might have been one more after that. And honestly, man, I feel like I stopped watching. I can't even. Oh, and there was the Sarah Connor Chronicles. So there's been like so much shit that none of them were good. None of them were good. None of them were any fucking good.
They should have stopped at Terminator after Terminator 3.
They should have stopped. They should have stopped at Terminator 2.
Well, no. I'll give them 3 to try and make a little bit of cash. They put it and the only thing I can remember about that movie is the attractive blonde. So let me just tell you how good that movie was. After that, I was done.
Excuse me. I think I got a bit of a cough here.
You got the COVID.
All right. Let's hope that's good? It. That's a good cough. So I think we're good. Right. No, I don't got COVID. So with that said, James Cameron hasn't been involved in any of them since Terminator 2, but he's always said, "Oh yeah, this is the movie I would have made if I had made another Terminator. This one would be the one I would have made." And then Everybody goes and watches it and it sucks. Another one comes out and James Cameron goes, no, that one I didn't really like. I was just saying that because they threw a bunch of money at him. But this one's the one that I would have made if it would have. And he continues to say that. And we all get fooled. Well, I mean, I don't get fooled by it anymore, but we all got fooled a time or two. And yeah.
And John Connor was made from him being high on ecstasy.
Oh, yeah. You shared a story about that. John Connor.
Yeah. So he said that it came to him in a dream as he was writing after the first Terminator on this character. And he came up with John Connor high on ecstasy. Now, to me, I'm like, that's pretty great because, like, I'm sure if you're on ecstasy, the last thing you want to think about is a movie. But I'm like, okay, from what I hear, I'm like, okay, cool, I guess. I don't know. I'm like, but like, how crazy is that? That like you're in. So if there's any script writers out there, they're probably all jumping E right now, trying to see if they could come up with a great movie twist.
So I tried to wrap my head around this article. You sent it to me, and I didn't really read too much of it, but I just saw that he thought of the character high on MDMA, and then I skimmed through the artitle. What part of it was it that he came up with a character named John Connor? Like I didn't.
Yeah, the John Connor character and aspect of it.
Did he like what about it? Like did he count the
everything about it?
But like, I don't know. I tried to read it. He said something about the Russian war was what inspired
he was listening to a Sting song called "I Hope the Russians Love Their Children,"
and then that conflated with.
Dude, unless we're all jacked up on ecstasy, I don't think we're going to understand where he came with that stupid concept.
I didn't totally understand the article. I did try to wrap my head around it. I think maybe the drugs came up with the idea of the time travel aspect, but they didn't mention that in the article. They kind of said something about a Russian Cold War, child born in a war. So that was what the MDMA influenced. I didn't quite get it. Had he rested on the time travel aspect, I would have said, okay, I can see how drugs maybe influence that. Do you know how he came up with the concept for the original Terminator movie?
No, I do not. Do you?
It's actually, yes, I do. It's actually, he was sued over it. And I think if you look in the credits, it's actually had to shoehorn in after the film had been released that now it says, based on 2 episodes of The Outer Limits. One is about 2 robots that fight each other, I think. And which sounds more like Terminator 2, but somehow it's based on Terminator 1 is based on it. And it's also another one about a guy who goes back in time to save the world. And he basically combined these 2 Outer Limits episodes into one and made this robotic man that goes back to save the world. I don't know. Pretty interesting stuff. I'm a bit of a nerd about stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to know that.
Well, actually, it's kind of cool, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. No, but like to me, it's a good movie. One of your favorites, which kind of threw me off because there's so many good movies out there when you told me that the other week. But I mean, hey man, if that's your favorite, one of your favorite movies, I mean,
you don't think it holds up as a really like one of those,
not like top 5 of all time,
really?
But
why do you say that? Why do you say it doesn't hold up? I'm curious. I'd like to dive into this.
It holds up as in like a good movie. Like I honestly think I think a great movie stays great for a long time, and then it kind of some movies you go, that was a great movie, and then over time you start watching other movies and other films, and then I think it just goes to a good movie. It's not a shit movie. I'll watch it. Like if you and I are sitting at your house and we're like, hey, want to watch Terminator 2? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll watch that with you. I just don't think I would put it up there in the top 5. Maybe your top 5, not mine. Not even close.
I'm not sure I would put it as a top 5. I'm not sure I would put it. As far as sequels, I would put it definitely maybe top 3 sequels of all time. But
yeah, well, for sure I would, because now let me just double down on that best sequel. I don't even remember the first Terminator.
Really?
Like
it's really good.
The second one to me is is one of the best movies. So like I would. So, go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to respond to what you said. So you were saying that when you see a movie, it should hold up. I think Terminator 2 holds up. Really
it holds up. No. What I said was like, if it's a great movie, and then over the years you see other films, like that movie to me was a great movie. I think it's a good movie now. Like it holds up. I just don't think it's. I don't even know if that's in my top 25 greatest movies of all time. My favorite movies, anyways.
I think as far as. Yeah, I would say, I don't know if I would say it's, you're putting me on the spot here a little bit. I would say it's one of my favorite movies. I think it's, as far as blockbuster movies, it's probably one of my favorite. As far as blockbuster movies, because I like a lot of like thought-provoking movies that maybe don't make a whole lot of money. But as far as like a movie that's like a summer blockbuster that everybody has seen, that's probably one of the ones
Summer
that I like the
blockbuster.
most.
Okay.
Like that's a fair statement, I would say, right?
I'm trying to right now in my head. I'm trying to go through and like a summer blockbuster, and I'm trying to like. I've got like three on the top of my head. I think
Mhm.
Terminator would be four.
Which ones would you say are better then?
Jurassic Park.
I would put this above Jurassic Park.
I would put well for me Jurassic Park. Probably at the time I would probably go Independence Day.
Oh,
Men
this
in,
blows Independence Day out of the fucking water. Not even close. Sorry. I mean, obviously everybody has their own taste, but I'd say this blows Independence Day out of the water.
then I was thinking Men in Black or Terminator 2, but I'm thinking Terminator 2. I would think then Men in Black.
I would put Terminator 2 above Men in Black. I thought Men in Black, to be honest, the way that you describe Terminator, I would put Men in Black in that category. It's a good movie at the time. I don't think it holds up that well.
It was a great for me, and that's my problem with Independence Day is Jurassic Park. I love. I think it was ahead of its time. It did a lot of great things in '93. I think that's a summer blockbuster to me, and that's probably the upper echelon. But like Terminator 2, like we said before, like the graphics they used, they stand up now because they didn't go overboard with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like when transport off a bridge. Okay, that's not CGI. That really happened. That was a stunt.
What
Like
about the liquid metal? I think
that's what I mean. The liquid metal, it's used the CGI is used so sparsely that when you see it, you go, you know what? That's actually pretty good for the time. It's the same with like Jurassic. When you watch Jurassic Park, some of that's really, really done well because most of it is all still done by a rubber suit, and only certain parts of it are done by CGI. So to me, it's like, yeah, Terminator 2 is really, really good. Independence Day for me, for a summer blockbuster, like a no-brainer, just put it on if it's on, is a pretty stand-up movie.
Well, I wouldn't consider Terminator 2 to be a no-brainer movie. I think there's a lot of thought behind it, a lot of things that maybe people don't even pick up the first few times they watch it. With that said, I also think Jurassic Park is one of those movies where there's some interesting things happening. There's some interesting thoughts in that movie that are put on trial there. Terminator, one of the things that I really like is this is a character like Terminator, the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character is this killing machine, and it's through a friendship with a child, it eventually becomes like a human. It becomes like a father figure to this child. At the beginning, it's like this robot doesn't understand why it can't go around killing people, and the kid's like, you can't go around killing people. You just can't. You can't. And by the end of it, this character, this robot, it almost like learns to be a bit of a human. And there's that idea gets a little bit explored in the sequels that aren't quite as good. But if you pay attention, there's little details like the Terminators always bark, or the dogs always bark at Terminators. And towards the end of the movie, they don't bark at Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's sort of made that transition into being more of a human than a robot. A lot of really cool ideas. There's also
a lot of good things. Like I said, like a great movie.
Sure.
That's given you so many different pop culture references.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'll be back, hasta la vista,
know,
his voice. Like, so that just shows you the staying power of that movie. You know what I mean? So that movie to me is still a good movie because you still get good things out of it. Just summer blockbusters are my top 5. I don't know I'd put it in, but.
So back to my point though, as far as the pop culture references, I think those are good. But I think the reason that they stay is because they have that character arc that strengthens them. Because if it was just a cool, catchy line, they probably wouldn't stay around as long unless it was a cool, catchy line in a good movie. And the fact that people, they identify with the characters, they identify with the story, they see these things going on, and maybe not every member of the audience follows it. Maybe they're not consciously aware of it, but on some level, they pick up that there's more going on than just cool catchphrases and explosions, and they go, That's cool. And I think that's the secret ingredient in the recipe as to why things like that stick around. And the same can be said about Jurassic Park. I agree. Independence Day, I haven't seen in a while. There's probably something to that too.
Yes, a little bit, but like I'm looking at like, and then you look at, like you said, right? Any great movie, like here's looking at you, kid. Like that's Citizen Kane. That's a really old movie. Like so certain good movies. Like T2 is a great movie. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it. I think
Yeah.
I think I have it on Blu-ray. I think.
Yeah. Well,
I'll
other
have to
things.
watch it.
Other things. I mean, if we're going to talk about character arcs, I'm kind of a bit of a nerd for these things. But Linda Hamilton's character, she's like in the first one. I know you said you haven't really seen it in a while. I'm just going to tell the audience right now. We're going to get back on track and talk about the news soon. I'm just going to geek out a little bit more, and then we're going to get back to it. Okay.
How about it?
So Linda Hamilton's character, she starts out, she's going on a date. She's a waitress. She's this single lady, this girl, the last person in the world that you would expect to become a freedom fighter. And then she's in this situation where a killing machine from the future is hunting her and she has to run for her life. And eventually she hardens and she kills this robot in the first one. And then she gets put in a mental institution and robots are fucking coming and she's got this fucking AK-47 and she's this tough as nails fucking Rambo with Rambo with long hair. And then she's fucking the hardest motherfucker on the planet. So you talk about a character arc. You go from this cocktail waitress, single lady, like nice, pretty dress, the last person you expect to save the world, to fucking Rambo by the end of the series. So I think there's something to that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. So yeah, I love how you can do that. That's actually really good, buddy. I'm actually impressed. I'm not even gonna lie to you. See, where I watch cinema, I watch it for different things. Like I watch how they use lighting and I watch background and I watch all kinds of stuff like that. You are a character guy. I like that.
Yeah, character, plot. I'm into that kind of stuff. I'm a bit of a nerd for that. Anyway, let's go on to something that the audience, I hope we haven't bored anyone by geeking out a little bit, but we're going to get into things that are trending, that are relevant to everybody watching this. So this is a story that you actually sent me, is Sha'Carri, I hope I'm pronouncing that, Sha'Carri Richardson has been disqualified from the 100-meter race in the Olympics because she has tested positive for the malicious, terrible drug, a performance-enhancing drug of marijuana. What do you think of that?
Watch out, boys.
Watch out, boys.
She'll catch you on her marijuana sticks.
On her marijuana sticks, exactly. She's the performance-enhancing drug of marijuana. So I think we're both on the same page. Marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug, right?
Understandable. But here's the problem.
Okay.
Here's the problem. I know she's putting up a fight.
Yeah.
And I understand it. As much as the United States and Canada like to think we're the world, we are not the world.
Okay.
So what happens is that when America comes out and says that marijuana is illegal, it's bad for you back in the day, you got to go to big farm companies because that's a lot better. And then the rest of the world follows suit because they're like, well, America says it's bad. Then America says it's okay, but certain states are fighting back. Listen, guys, the rest of the world goes, what you say, that's what we got to do. They set a bunch of rules and standards for you to follow. You have to follow them. Unfortunately to me, if she's going to smoke weed, and the reason she did smoke weed, I stand by her 110%, it's not going to make her faster. Like if you look at her, have you seen a photo of this woman?
Yes.
She is a machine. Yeah. Like she is
So I'm getting a bit of a mixed message from you. You're of the opinion that she should or should not be disqualified for smoking marijuana.
Should be.
She should be disqualified for smoking marijuana.
Because it's the rules. Because it's the world rules. And you know the world rules, right?
Now, let me ask you this. I disagree. I'm going to start out by saying I disagree. Do you believe that that's a valid rule?
No. We're on the same page, man. It's a world rule. So you come out and you make all these rules. America wants to push themselves around and say, you got to do this and we got to do this and we got to do this and we don't support you this and we don't support that. Okay, great. We're going to follow those rules. Now everybody else in the world goes, listen, America, you don't run the world now. We've been doing this for years. These are the rules. Everybody knows the rules. You break the rules for whatever reason, you still broke the rules. Now, I think that one should be like let go. That shouldn't even be a rule in my eyes, in my estimations. Because
so let me just recap. We're both on the same page. Although you believe she should be disqualified because she broke a rule, I believe she shouldn't be disqualified because it's a silly rule. But we both agree it's a rule that should be removed, right?
Yeah. The rule should be removed, but it's a rule. I mean, like if I shoot you today and then they say, well, you killed Adam today, but then tomorrow they allow murder to happen. Well, no, I broke the rule when it was a rule, so I shouldn't get. I shouldn't be allowed.
It's not a great metaphor, but I get what you're saying. I think
shooting's
always going to be a pretty harmful thing to do, and this is a drug that I would say is not. It's not enhancing her performance. I firmly am going to disagree. I think that the lesson here is that the Olympics should not make marijuana an illegal drug. It shouldn't be a banned substance. That's my feeling.
Listen, man, this is where I kind of look at things. And the Olympics are trying to be progressive. I don't know if you follow the Olympics. You probably don't because you're not a sports guy.
I follow it a little bit.
Like they're trying to be progressive, and when they let certain things in, like we'll use Ross Ribliotti as an example. First time for snowboarding, Canadian guy from BC, goes down, wins a gold medal, gets it stripped for testing positive for marijuana.
That was quite a few years ago. That was when we were in high school, right?
Yep. And then they said, how big was the
go on?
How big was the trace? They go literally enough to be secondhand. Because like, so literally you could have been in BC, somebody blows a joint into your direction as you're walking in to get your blood test, and that was in your system. That's not enough.
And they did give it back to him, right? They gave him his gold medal back. Yes.
Correct.
They took it away and then they gave it back. Yep. Let me ask you this. So we both agree that this is not a performance enhancing drug. There's not a whole lot of damage done. Now, she has gone on to say that the reason she decided that she knew it was against the rules, she was told by a reporter that her biological mother had died. That kind of fucked with her, and she went home and was like, I don't give a fuck if it's illegal, smoked a joint. She gets popped for a piss test. Considering the circumstances, considering the
listen, man, what did you just say? I thought her mother died.
Her biological mother died, yes. And a reporter was the one that told her during an interview.
So she didn't even know her mother.
I don't know what her relationship. The implication is that she was not. I'm not saying she didn't know her mother. We don't know that. But the implication is that she has another mother that.
If a reporter is telling me, a reporter has to tell me that my biological mother is passed, I don't think I'm close to her. I'm going to go out on a limb on that one.
Okay. That's a fair assumption, but we also have to, how do I say it? We have to question, apparently she had just finished racing. So there's a possibility that her mother had died during that race. We don't even know. We don't know these details. Those details aren't like the articles that I read. It's only the articles I've read. I don't know those details. With that said, I believe she had some relationship with her. I think it's reasonable to believe she had some relationship with her biological mother. Obviously, there's some fucking distance. There's obviously some fucking distance. She's not. Yeah, they're not like her biological mother wasn't there in the crowd. Like there's some distancing. So you're right to say that it wasn't her mother. It was her biological mother. And there's some assumptions. I don't really want to make these assumptions, but with that said, we can also assume that it probably bothered her too. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it would. I would imagine like somebody, you didn't like, yeah, it would bother you because it still brought you into this world. So like, you're still a connection, even if you're a piece of shit. Like I'm sure you're going to be saddened by it. Yeah. But at the same time, like, good on her for coming out and saying, I know I broke the rules. I got caught. I don't like the rules. And I believe she said like she's done appealing it. She's just going to move on.
Sure.
and she's going to be able to race other things. She didn't get kicked out of the Olympics. She got banned from the race to qualify for the Olympics, right? So like the Olympics, she's still going to the Olympics because she's a talented track star.
Well,
Just not
I
for the
remember
100.
reading that she has been disqualified from the 100, but she may be able to sneak, kind of just barely make it into the relay, the 100 relay. So it's like she would run 100 meters. She's banned from the 100 meters, but she may be able to do a 100-meter relay. So she would.
Well, yeah, because she's super talented, and you look at I mean, you look at that female's body and the work she's put in. I mean, when you look at her and you told me it was weed, not testosterone, I'd kind of be like, yeah, okay. But
and that's another
she's
argument.
Shredded. She's shredded. She looks like a athlete in peak performance. So I mean, it's unfortunate that she got busted for that, but at the same time, like, isn't somebody giving you a heads up on a piss test?
Well, I think if it's randomized, like it's USADA, so they don't tell you that they're going to piss test you. They're supposed to surprise. They're supposed to surprise you with it, right? There's a lot of stories of people getting busted by USADA where they're in a gym and it's like people hide underneath the octagon or whatever to avoid it. But with that said, she did get popped. Listen, man, you get banned from the Olympics. It's a 4-year thing. My thing is I think let her fucking compete. This is a once in a 4-year thing. Once in a 4-year thing, really probably once in a lifetime opportunity. She smoked a joint. We don't think it enhances her ability to perform. I believe she should be allowed to compete. I think this is a silly rule. I know you disagree, but I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on that.
No. We agree, but like I said, you got to follow the rules. The rules say now this, right? So you got to follow the rules. It's unfortunate.
I'm of the opinion that they should bend the rules in this one instance and then get rid of that rule altogether. That's my opinion.
But you could still do a lot of hard prison time for marijuana in certain states.
Not in Oregon, which is the one she was in. It's actually legal there.
Oh, okay, then cool. We're good. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Because if it's legalized in your state.
Yeah, right? And it is. This is not a story of her breaking the law. That's one thing that I did want to mention earlier, and I didn't get a point to, but she's in Oregon. It's 100% legal in her state. It is against the rules of the Olympics. Now, my point is I believe they should say, okay, slap on the wrist. You're suspended for just enough time to still qualify for the Olympics. But another time, maybe you're not, I don't know, whatever. Slap on the wrist, but let's get rid of that rule altogether. That's my
opinion. Sounds good to me, man.
Cool, man. All right, so we're through that story. We got a couple comments here. Shout out to Evan, who says America, which I believe is actually could have been a comment to quite a few of the stories we talked about, but I think that's about.
We got one more American story, don't
we? Do we? Oh, yeah, you had one that you wanted to talk about, right?
Yep.
Correct. Do you want to? Oh, Truck Pooling wants to know what sequels we think are better. I believe that's then Terminator 2. Do you have a list of sequels you think might be better?
Yeah, I probably got 4 or 5 off the top of my head.
What would you say?
Okay, Terminator 2, obviously, we'll throw that out there. Terminator 2. I'm going to go with Avengers Age of Ultron.
Oh, no! Shots fired! I disagree 100%. I think of all the Avengers movies, that one's the weakest, but go on.
Okay, I think it's better than the first one.
Really? I disagree. Yep. I think that I've always, sorry to interrupt. I have always felt that Age of Ultron was not a great movie. And there are people who have eventually said that it doesn't hold up as well as they thought it did at the time. But that's okay. Sorry for the sidebar.
You're an idiot.
Why am I an idiot? Why? Well, that's my opinion.
No. You literally just went into character building and you went into character arcs. And in Age of Ultron, it sets up for every other Avengers after that, with arcs going from Captain America going from a nice guy to him and Stark starting to fight, going off because of Tony Stark. Yeah, I'm not too sure I follow you anymore on the geek story.
I do believe that overall, how do I say it? The one thing that I love about the MCU is that the arcs within it, the stories that are told over the course of all of the movies that culminate with Endgame, That's incredible. I love it. I geek out for that. However, I will say the individual pieces, sometimes I'm not a big fan of. The individual movies are not great. Them being a piece of a larger arc is often great. If you're saying Age of Ultron is a integral component to that arc, I'm not sure. I haven't really looked that closely at it, but I'm not going to disagree with it. As a movie in and of itself, I'm not a big fan. With that said, you're allowed to still like it, and you don't have to agree with me on that.
Perfect. Okay. I like RoboCop 2 more than RoboCop 1, which not a lot of people agree with. No,
I've seen them when I was a kid. I don't really recall them.
I'm just trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. I'm sure there's other ones. Maybe Back to the Future 2, but I'm still I like Back to the Future 1. I don't know. I think 2 is okay. I don't know. I don't think it's about the same. I think. I don't know if one's
Back to the Future 2 is good, possibly better than Back to the Future 1, but I wouldn't say it's better than Terminator 2.
No, not at all. But I'm just thinking if you're asking for first and second movies, that's all I can think of right now.
I think what he's asking is we had said Terminator 2 is good, but there's other sequels that were better. Poulin is asking, well, what sequels do you think are better than Terminator 2?
I like I said, I can't think of one because, like I told you, I don't even remember Terminator 1. You know what I mean? Like just T2 to me was the best one.
Okay. I got 3 right here. Boom. I'm going to spit some fucking shots here. Obviously, we're talking about Terminator 2. I'm going to say Terminator 2 is one of the best sequels. Boom. Empire Strikes Back. I've already given that. I think that one's better. I think that's the crown jewel of the Star Wars saga is the further from Empire Strikes Back, the worse the movies get. So the 1 and 3 are great, but the further from those you get, the worse they get. And Empire Strikes Back is the best. And the third one is, of course, The Dark Knight. That one is better than the Batman Begins. However, Batman Begins is great. And I would say those are the 3 that when I go in my head and I try to figure out which one is the best sequel of all time, those are the 3 that I sort of get pulled in different directions.
Oh, Dark Knight. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe is Dark Knight. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say Dark Knight is better than Terminator 2.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I
just think the only reason I'm going to say it is better is I honestly just think the acting is better. Like, does that like the cast to me is better?
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of the acting in Terminator 2. I think, who would be the weakest actor? Arnold Schwarzenegger, he plays a robot and he does a great job of that. The kid that played John Connor, he did a great job. Linda Hamilton did a great job. I don't think there's any bad acting in Terminator 2, so I reject that.
Yeah, and I'll say something. I don't think that Heath Ledger should have won an Oscar for that movie, but he did.
Okay. I don't know if I'm not going to agree with that.
He was such a good actor in that movie, though. He was. Should he have won an Oscar? Sure, why? No, but it's an Oscar. Who cares? But I don't know, man. You know what? I'll just toss it up. Whichever one you put on, I'm going to watch anyway. So we'll be okay there.
Yeah. So I would say all 3 of those, any one of those 3 movies you could say is the greatest sequel of all time. I'm Empire Strikes Back. Sometimes I say that one's it. Terminator 2. Sometimes I think that's it. And The Dark Knight. I mean, fuck, it's hard to argue with that one. It's hard to argue with any of them though. Fuck. Yeah. Anyway, those are my 3. Those are the 3 that I got.
For fuck's sakes. That's going to make me think now. I'm going to go look at all my movies and see what I got for movies. And yeah. Oh, you know what? Bad Boys 2 is better than Bad Boys 1. And I'm a huge Bad Boys fan.
I thought Bad Boys 2 was good. I didn't think it was quite in the tier of these 3 movies that I mentioned, but that's just me.
Yeah. It's a good action movie. That's all I'm saying. Better than the first one. Anyways, man, what do we got left?
I think we got the one story that you were telling me about. So what do you got for me here?
4th of July, Coney Island, New York, release some allow you to have a good time on the 4th of July to celebrate Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Sorry, say that one more time for me. I lost you for a second.
Nathan's Hot Dogs on Coney Island, which is a suburb of, is it New York, Boston, I think it is. They have said that they were allowed to have more people, so they had their eating contest. Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut. Is that his real name? Do you know? You probably don't know.
I'm reading.
Sounds like a
I
stage name to me, but anyway.
absolutely, and I think he's going to stick with Joey Chestnut. He's worth about $3 million from his hot dog eating days. World record today for most hot dogs eaten. It's 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
So this guy ate 76 hot dogs
In 10 minutes.
in 10 minutes. How many hot dogs do you think you could eat in 10 minutes?
Nathan's hot dogs, not many.
Are they good hot dogs? I don't know. Are they?
Oh, they're amazing hot dogs. If you're looking to get a hot dog, the battalion serve them during. I think the only place in Ontario, I think, to sell them is the North Bay Battalion.
So let me ask you this: Does the world record, is it for hot dogs or is it just for Nathan's hot dogs?
Hot dogs, well, Nathan's hot dogs because they're the standard. They're the gold standard of hot dogs.
Do they specify that in order to qualify they have to be Nathan's hot dogs, or is there another guy who maybe has a world record but it's not Nathan's hot dogs?
Well, because like if you're gonna go like a red hot that are like this long, Nathan's hot dogs are amazing hot dogs. So it was seen. It seems that it was seen by 3 million people today. 20,000 people were down there. The ESPN feed went down 3 times in 10 minutes while watching it.
This is on ESPN. Whoa. This is on ESPN. This is on ESPN. Oh my God.
Absolutely. ESPN.
The Sports Network. This is considered a sport.
Yes.
This is a sport that you and I could fucking dominate in. This is not a sport. How long did this guy train? How long did he train? 14
years. Now they're saying, well, because he's a 14-time champion, right? So what they're saying is that Adam Schefter, who is an ESPN reporter for the NFL, as NFL insider, he's the guy. If there's ever a story for the NFL biggest business in the world, he breaks it. He was at the hot dog eating contest, and he said that he's better than Tom Brady.
He's better than Tom Brady's a name I recognize. This guy's better than Tom Brady.
He's better than Tom Brady.
Hot dogs.
Even Rafael Nadal, which is a great tennis player with 13 French Open, said
I don't know who that guy is. He's better than that guy.
Better than that guy. So he's
better than Tom Brady. Hot dogs, or is he better than him at what?
At everything. They're just saying that he's the greatest athlete of all time.
More of a legitimate champion than these people.
Exactly. Now it's quite the contest. When watch it,
contest.
If you go in and you watch how they all came out, I think there was 10 of them up, and they all kind of wind up on stage. They had a female champion who's been the reigning champion for years as well. They get the Nathan's hot dog belt. It's just a big show. It's a great time. It's America, man. I mean, it's absolutely American. It's great and it's fantastic.
Okay, I don't respect this world record. I'm sorry, Sean Mark. Nope. I know that you were going on about how this is such an important thing. I do not respect this world record.
So this is the funny thing. So it was on at noon on 4th of July. 4th of July at noon all the time. Basically what happens, and the way they say it, is that this is like a Christmas tradition, let's call it. They go, you don't start your grill until the hot dog eating contest is over. So they had
the thing that they do in the States is you're not allowed to.
Yeah, that's like for most places, that's you don't start your grill until the hot dog contest is over. Okay. Now to me, it is one of those things where it's just a break from everything else in the world. You know, like the world, everybody's hating each other right now. Everybody's hating the world. Everybody's bitching about something. They're like, hey, that hot dog eating contest on at noon. They're like, all right, you know what? Today, this is what we're going to focus on.
Listen, I will give you that it's fun to watch a guy eat a hot dog contest. That's fun. I would go to a hot dog contest in my city. That's fine. This guy's not a better athlete than Tom Brady. I don't even know who the fuck Tom Brady is, but he's not a better athlete than Tom Brady. Let's get real. This is a fun idea. Okay, but he's not a better athlete than fucking Tom Brady.
No, I was trying to find, I think it's so true though. Like Tom Brady is the general and he has so many different things he has to worry about, getting hit in the side, doing all this stuff. And here he is over here just opening up his gullet and just sucking back fucking 76 hot dogs.
Congratulations to Joey Chestnut or whatever this guy's name is on your $3 million.
Dude, this thing
hot dogs.
Like I should have told you to watch it. It was on ESPN.
I wouldn't have watched it. I'm not gonna watch this.
Listen. They had female hot dog eating contest. So they had the females come up. The regular champ, she dominated them. I think she ended up with like 30 or 40. Then they had a chugging contest of like the Nathan's lemonade. And they had, I'm trying to find this guy's name, and for some reason I can't find him. They had this unit of a human being. This guy looked like 6'2", 400 pounds, this big black guy. And then this little skinny guy go up. And then they go, ready, set, go. And the kid like grabs his gallon jug and starts chugging it. And then the other guy like takes his time, picks it up, and like the announcers are going crazy. They're like, he's so far behind, he took his time. The guy just goes, two hands, starts pounding it, halfway through, stops, lets go a fucking ripper of a belch in a microphone. Everybody starts cheering, finishes it off. Guy comes up, how you feeling with the microphone? Guy lets a belch go, crowd goes crazy. I go, that's America.
That's a very entertaining moment. He's still not better than Tom Brady.
That's
There's
awesome.
some comments in the chat. I want to ask Tractorhead. Tractorhead, nobody's more American than you. Have you ever heard of any of this? How many times have you watched this? Tractorhead says, I mean, to be fair, that 75 hot dogs with buns that they soaked in water so they go down quicker. I couldn't do it. Now, Tractorhead, I want to know, this is an American tradition. How often have you watched it? Trevor Poulin is actually saying, how is this such a big thing? I've never heard of this until now. You'd think if it's been around for 14 years, we would have all heard about this.
Have you guys not heard about this?
I haven't. Trevor Poulin in the chat hasn't. I'd like to hear if Tractorhead has, because he's our American voice. Tractorhead, if you can get back to me quickly, let me know. Have you heard of this? What is it, Joey? Is it Joey Chestnut?
Yes, yes.
Joey Chestnut. Have you heard of this guy? And is he a better athlete than Tom Brokaw or Tom Brady or whoever?
Tom Brokaw. You went straight to a news guy. Okay, man. So let's have a look here. So the Major League Eating has typically given winners of men's top prizes of $10,000 each.
Oh wow. Okay. $10,000. That's serious money. I'm not gonna laugh at that.
So $10,000, and then prizes for the ongoing. So first is $10,000, second place is $5,000, third is $2,500, fourth is $15,000, and fifth is $100,000.
Could you imagine making $10,000 for eating hot dogs?
Awesome. This year, 17 men, 13 women took part. I didn't know this. World number 9 ranked eater Michelle Lasco. Second highest ranked woman behind Suta will be the favorite to win the women's belt. So they have world rankings for this as well. I didn't know
world rankings for this.
That's what I just said. She was number 9 in the world for eating.
Number 9 in the world for eating. Jesus Christ. I don't know if I want to do that. Like, is it good to be number 9? Do I want to be number 9 or do I want to not be number 9?
You know what? In a world where there's 5 billion people and you're the 9th best female eater in the world, I'll take that.
Listen, I listen.
What do you think Joey Chestnut's worth?
You said he was worth like $6 million.
No,
right?
they're saying $2 million according to the site, and he makes between $250,000 to $500,000 a year in eating contests alone, not including sponsorships.
Well, that's great. I'm glad for Joey Chestnut. He's a professional eater, and if you can make that kind of money just eating hot dogs, good on you. It does say that the American dream has died.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm just gonna say that the American dream was always you could work hard and you could accomplish something great. This feels like I could just wake up one day and be like, I could probably beat that guy, and if I tried it out, maybe I could beat that guy.
It looks like the first one was in 1997.
First one was in 1997. Oh, that's cool. So this is a sport I'm sorry, I have to do that. That's growing some steam. We got a response from Tractorhead, our American voice in the chat. He says, I have seen it several years. Yeah. I don't make a point of watching it specifically.
No, but
if it's on, I'll turn in.
It absolutely is correct. Like, yeah, and I think it's hilarious. I think it's great, and I think that it kind of just reminds you that you can still have fun. Like I just think it's a fun story. It's just you cheer for whoever you want, and like Joey Chestnut apparently like he beat the living crap out of everybody. So I mean, in that side, you know what, man, good for him. He's making $500,000 a year to eat hot dogs.
Let me ask you this: is there a world record that you think you'd be capable of breaking?
No,
you don't think you could break like I don't know, beer drinking or beating up North Bay Hillbillies record? Or
I think I have that record.
Yeah, there you go. You have specialized. You have broken the world record for getting kicked out of the most bars for beating up North Bay Hillbillies. We'll give you that one.
There too. Yeah, no, exactly. That's it. Yeah, for sure.
I've probably broken the world record for most unsignificant person to know to have a depth of knowledge on pro wrestling that I have. I'm going to say that.
I'll give you that one.
Jim Cornette knows more, but I'm less significant. So you combine those two criteria, I'm number one.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yes. All right, man. What else do we have? Anything else?
I think we just got Loki.
That's it.
That's
wow.
it.
Let's go on with that one.
Unless you got something else. We got anything else before we get into the grand finale? Is Loki?
I want some hot dogs.
So I'm going to let everyone know I'm probably going to put our Loki reviews into a playlist on YouTube, so that way they'll all be collected in one neat spot. If anyone cares to watch all of them from beginning to end, they'll be able to do that. So with that said, we are on to Loki episode 4. Only 2 more left. What'd you think of this episode?
Good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I really I thought it was I actually really enjoyed the episode. And I like the last episode, like you said, was a filler episode. I thought you said it was a filler episode. The last one, I thought it was more of if time travel, here's kind of like we're gonna catch up to speed and we'll give you something nice and easy to watch. I thought the show was I'm gonna say was probably my favorite episode.
This was probably your favorite episode. I would say so too. Yeah, so far this is probably the best episode of the show. I would actually agree. Yeah, it's a valid point.
I'm very upset with Disney. There was many times when he could have said "wow" in that episode, Mr. Wilson, but he did not.
Mr. Wilson, Wilson, of course, he did not. Yeah, well, Disney has said that.
He won't say his wow, and I'm a little sad about it because in that episode, like I said it a few times. So I don't know. Why don't you break it down for us, Adam?
Sure. I've got actually a synopsis. I'm glad I didn't tell you I had a synopsis. So I'm glad I wrote one out because I'd be very much on the spot. So basically, the episode starts with Sylvie is taken as a child for breaking the timeline, although we don't actually see what specifically she did to break the timeline. That is important later on in the episode. Ravana, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, was the officer, the woman who's in charge of the VMA or whatever it is, the Timeline Variance Authority. She was the person that took Sylvie as a child and she let her go, and it kind of almost seemed a little bit like, was that on purpose? You kind of feel a little bit, but I don't know that for sure. She speaks to the timekeepers about losing Loki and Sylvie. Owen Wilson asks about that C20 person, and he is told that she has died. And Owen Wilson goes, well, that doesn't make any sense. She was fine. She just had a little bit of she was just a little freaked out, but she was fine by the time I saw her. Oh no, she deteriorated quickly, which felt a little bit like a lie. We see Loki and Sylvie basically have a romantic moment, and that causes a giant spike in the timeline, which gets them taken out of the timeline to prevent them from doing it. Loki gets put in a time loop where he keeps getting hit in the nuts. Okay. What do you want to say?
That was fucking hilarious, by the way.
That was hilarious.
So, like, poor Loki, and that set up that time loop, as he gets hit in the nuts, set up the rest of the episode, right?
How do you say that set up the rest of the episode? That's interesting. I didn't catch that.
Well, so he keeps getting hit in the nuts and hitting the nuts and hitting the nuts, and he goes, "Oh, great, a loop," and then gets hit in the nuts. He tries to stop it, which he almost does, and I'm like, "Wow, he actually is a good salesman." Gets hit in the nuts, just delete it. Gets pulled out. And then says, you know what? No, I want to know, I want to do it. And then Wilson goes, okay, I'm going to put you back into that spot. And he goes, no, that's enough torture. Whatever you need to know, I'm going to tell you. And then doesn't go back. And he goes back in. The rest of the story doesn't work. But because of the punishment of him getting kicked in the nut or kneed in the nuts, that's what stopped him from going back into that area in the timeline. And then everything else kind of went after that.
Okay. So, well, you're right. We do see Loki and Owen Wilson have a conversation. They basically just lie to each other a bunch. And then Loki reveals that the TVA is lying to Owen Wilson. And he says, you're a variant. And he's like, nice try, got a deception. Doesn't believe him, but it plants a seed. And throughout the rest of this episode, Owen Wilson starts exploring that idea. You can see that it doesn't sit well with him. While Loki is imprisoned, he starts trying to find where's the C-20 that he said was dead. He does a little bit of a trick where he's hanging out with Ravana and he steals her little doohickey. What is it called?
Well, it's just called a transponder or
it's
something.
called a tempad. And
They're a tempad, yes.
grabs her tempad, swaps her, and watches the video surveillance, sees that he's been lied to, that this person was basically probably killed by Ravana. They meet up. And of course, she kills Owen Wilson. We see Owen Wilson die. His last words are, you know where I'd really like to go is back to my life. Maybe I have a life. Maybe I had a jet ski. And boom, she kills him. It's probably the saddest thing that's happened in this episode.
Is he really dead, though?
Well, that's the question, is because then later on we see this confrontation with the time Guardians or whatever the hell they are, and Loki gets killed. And by the end of the episode, we see Loki in a alternate world where there's all these other versions of Loki. So it brings up a lot of debates. Firstly, who the hell are these time creatures, time lords or whatever? Because they cut their head off and they're robots. Loki gets killed. He's in this other dimension. Does that mean that Owen Wilson is in another dimension, that he's somewhere safe? I don't really know. What do you think is happening here?
So there's a lot of things that you missed that I thought that really helped the story along.
Okay.
That I thought, like, looking at it from a different point of view, I thought that what they did to that with that episode, the reason it was my favorite is I don't really think you hit on any of the things that made that episode great. I don't think.
Why don't you tell me what you think made the episode great?
Okay, Sylvie. Owen Wilson tells Loki Sylvie's dead. Loki finally shows that he had feelings for that Loki and he had feelings for Sylvie by saying, good riddance. He showed emotion, and then Owen Wilson caught him on it. So they had like a human moment there. And then Loki was like, hey, you know what? You're a variant. You need to figure it out. So then he goes, you know what I mean? So Loki showed a little bit of emotion, which I thought was key.
So what happens is Owen Wilson says that he killed Sylvie.
Yes.
And when he says that, Loki shows some emotion. And when he sees that, he sees, oh, you have feelings for her. You're such an egomaniac. You fell in love with yourself. And that's how it's interesting, because these two characters lie to each other in that entire scene. And in lying to each other, Owen Wilson is able to extract the truth from the god of deception.
Exactly. No, and I thought that was great. Then the fight scene I thought was hilarious, and I thought they put them both together. They're about to have a fight scene. Sylvie has the sword. Loki's getting his ass kicked. Mm-hmm. Sophie then throws him the sword because he needs it, because Loki's not as tough as she is, and she still kicks ass, and Loki needs a knife. And I thought that was actually pretty kind of funny that Sylvie's like, no, I'm a stronger one than you are. I'm a stronger variant of you than you are.
This is the scene with the timekeepers, where they're finally forced to meet these timekeepers.
Yeah.
They're basically put to almost stand trial in front of these people. And at the last second, the guard, whose name is, let me just say, Hunter B-15, who has doubt about her being who is starting to realize that she's a variant, basically finds out that she is, because Sylvie does that mind shit. Long story short, she comes in, saves the day at the last second, lets them able to use their power. Fight scene breaks out, and I'm gonna say this. I don't think you've seen this, so I'm gonna. Shit, I know you haven't seen this. So the fight scene to me reminded me of the one in Star Wars, the prequel trilogies, which I know you haven't seen, where they kill Snoke. It's actually very similar to it. Where they're like back to back, and then in the end they kill the guy on the throne. So it was very sort of reminiscent to that. And then we see that the head comes off on the timekeepers, and then we see that they're actually robots. And so that builds into the hook at the end of the episode. All of these episodes seem to have a hook. And the question is, who the fuck is behind the timekeepers? Because they're robots now. I don't think it's Ravana, because she has had to speak with them and interact with them. So who's created the TVA? Who could this possibly be? Do you have any? I don't know if you could.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
They could just pull somebody out of the hat and go, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
It could be anybody. You could go Thanos. You could go.
Yeah.
You could do something stupid. Like you could do almost anything. You'd be like, well, who is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's Doctor Strange. You're in one of his worlds, or it's somebody crazy. It's one of the monks or something. It
Yeah.
could be anybody.
Could be just about anyone. So it's got an interesting hook. The first I watched the episode twice. So when they cut the head off of the timekeepers and it was robots, my first thought was, oh, it's that Ravana, the captain lady who's in charge of the TVA. She's got to be pretending it. But when I went back and watched it again in the beginning of the episode, she went in and talked to them. So I'm going to assume that she actually had to have a conversation with them. They don't actually show the conversation, but I think that at least halfway rules out her as being in charge of it. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, it could be a Loki variant.
I was going to say probably a Loki variant, right?
Could be. Who really fucking knows? Who really knows? That's kind of what we got to tune in to watch on the next episode. But the big twist is that stick that turns everybody into sparkles. Everybody sees Owen Wilson die, and that's the saddest part of this episode, probably the saddest part of this series. He dies, and everybody's got a tear in their eyes. And then it happens to Loki, and you're like, fuck, is this going to be a show about Sylvie for the rest of the series? And then in the end credits, Loki's alive somewhere else. And we see Loki looking at 4 different characters. Before I get into that, what did you think about these 4 characters? Because we had a bit of a discussion about this before the show.
I looked behind the characters. I thought it was Asgard.
Okay.
And then the large black man was the guy who held the rainbow, who opened up the rainbow portal, right? In Thor 1?
No, that's not accurate, but go on.
Is that not who it is?
That's not who it is, but go on.
That's who I thought it was, because he looked like younger, so I thought it was a younger version of him. That was the portal holder that sent Thor to Earth on Thor 1.
So there was a big black guy with a hammer.
Yeah.
And
then there was like a little Loki, right? Like a little Loki. And then the other 2 I wasn't too familiar with. So
there was an older Loki who was in the costume of the comic books. And that was just, I'm not really sure. That could just be a Loki from any time. He's just wearing a comic book costume. There was a kid Loki who was, there is a version of Loki who is I had to actually ask somebody who's a comic book fan to explain these to me. There's a kid Loki, that's a version in the comic books. And these are all characters who have appeared in alternate versions of Loki in the comic books. The other one that everybody kind of saw is an alligator version of Loki. And that comes from, I guess, a kind of funny comedic universe where everyone on Asgard is a different animal and Loki's a lizard on that one. And then there's the one that you mentioned is the big black guy. And he told me that my friend who explained this to me told me that what happened is, if you notice, he's got Thor's hammer. Yep. What happened is, in one of these versions in the comic books, at some point, Thor was killed, everyone in Asgard was killed, but apparently in this particular comic, you cannot kill the gods, so they're all reincarnated. And when they're reincarnated, they somehow combined Loki and Thor together. And this is some sort of backwards combination where Loki and Thor are the same person. So he's got Thor's hammer, but he's also the trickster god, and he's also Thor. Anyway, I don't know. I didn't know who any of these fucking people were at the time, but I'm sure that every comic book fan that knows everything there is to know about Loki is just fucking jizzing their pants at how awesome this is, because it's like, oh my God, they even got the lizard Loki. Oh my God, they even got the kid Loki. So I don't know who these characters are, but the one thing I really learned from this is Loki's not dead, and maybe Owen Wilson isn't.
So yet again, we talked about this before, like the first couple episodes. Marvel has to be careful not to lose the random guy like me. Like, okay. I like the MCU on what it was, and I watched it for what it was. Mm-hmm. And now you can't expect me to go in and read Loki comics to figure out who these guys are. So
I don't. Okay, but let me stop. Okay, go on.
But now, what your friend has said and told you, like, if that's 100% what happens, you're probably going to watch everybody not watch the second season. We don't know who these people are, right? We're just happy
Loki's. Hold on to your horses there.
Hang on. Well, we're just happy Loki's alive.
Okay, so there are plenty of characters in the MCU who just kind of pop up and disappear. This is what I think is a little bit of fan service. You're getting to see these characters who I have no idea who they are. You have no idea who they are, but these comic nerds, they get to see these characters exist in the MCU, whatever.
We're also, what we're doing is, like you said, for the casual fans who maybe aren't able to follow this, what they're trying to do is they're trying to massage everybody into this multiverse. So this is probably going to be an introduction into the multiverse. I don't think we got to know every backstory about these characters, but I think we're going to get some sort of an explanation in the next episode. I think it's going to be a fairly digestible one, and I don't think you need to go back and read every comic book that's ever existed. I think they're gonna bring everybody up to speed in the next episode.
All right, I'm cool. I'm in for one season, anyways.
So the other thing that we have to mention is after Loki dies, Sylvie beats the shit out of Ravonna, and Ravonna goes, "Go ahead, kill me. I deserve it." And she goes, "No, you're going to tell me everything I want to know before I do that." Which also means we're going to find out who these timekeepers are. We're going to find out who the variants are. She obviously knows that. I mean, we know Ravonna actually knows that these people aren't all, they're all variants. She has a lot of answers. The next episode, and it's the second to last one before the end of the show, we're going to finally get some fucking answers. We're going to find out what's going on with all these characters. What is the TVA? We've never really gotten any clear-cut answers. And we're going to get some fucking answers.
I'm pretty stoked, man. I'm this has been a good trip anyways. That looks good to me. I'm actually super excited to see how this ends.
Yeah. Now, do you think Owen Wilson's dead?
No.
Okay.
No, I think he's in another timeline where he actually has a life.
I don't know about that. I'm wondering if perhaps this glow stick puts them into some sort of alternate prison or something, or
does it put them all in the same spot, just on a different, like all in the same timeline?
It could. I don't know. There's also the possibility that because Loki is a god, maybe that's how he doesn't get killed. No one Wilson is dead. We're not really going to know. All I know is we've got a lot of questions going into the next episode. With that said, I think that's pretty much covers the whole thing. Do you got anything else you want to cover?
Nothing else, man. That was a good show.
Oh, we've got some comments in here. Trev Poulin makes an interesting point. Could it be Mephisto? And if you don't know who that is, Mephisto is the wife of the witch from WandaVision.
Oh.
So could it be Mephisto is behind these two separate shows? That's a really interesting theory. I can see that playing out.
Yeah, I can enjoy that.
Yeah, you've also said could be something in the quantum universe. There's a lot of stuff. All I really know is we got a lot of questions, and in the next episode, we're going to finally get some clear-cut answers just in time for the finale. So I'm looking forward to it.
So am I, man. I'm really, really stoked.
All right. With that said, I think we're going to end the show.
Question for you on the air. Did you want to cover Black Widow?
Black Widow.
I believe that comes out. When does that come out?
I know it's coming out
Friday.
Soon. Oh, is it coming out Friday? I did see an ad for
9th.
it. One thing that I really think is pretty cool about the Black Widow logo is that it is a hourglass, right?
Yes.
Now we know Black Widows have an hourglass on them, and it's also a prequel, which is deals with time. So I thought that was a very cool sort of double entendre.
So did I. Yeah, I'm. This will be the first one I'm going to buy on the early access.
Oh,
so I'm going to support Black Widow because she's a female superhero that's going to need some support, as I think she will.
Yeah.
So I will be one of the hopefully millions that watch it.
Oh, so it's a movie that's going to be out on early access, eh? Oh,
well, it's going to be on Disney Plus, right, or in the theaters. So even if it's $29, $30, I'm going to buy it on that.
Yeah,
I think I think it's going to be just. I'm hoping it's better than what I'm thinking it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good movie. I'm just hoping it's going to be a lot better than what's going to be the best thing I've seen in a while.
Well, I'm going to say this: MCU has done some pretty intricate planning. Now, okay, you're bringing up an interesting point, and I got to wonder, we're doing a prequel, and we're halfway through a show that deals with time travel. Could we see some people going back in time into the prequels?
That's kind of what I was waiting for. I was kind of hoping, like, once I figured it out, and I was like, if time, like the quantum realm, I'm like, does Ant-Man come in? And now they have Black Widow coming out on the 9th. which is a Friday, and they got Loki that comes out on the Wednesday. Are they smart enough to because they think about these things so far ahead? Are they smart enough to throw a Loki in here into the Black Widow universe and kind of just go, oh wow?
So I'm gonna Google it. Do you know exactly the day that Black Widow comes out?
The 9th.
Black Widow. Oh, it is the 9th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the 9th, and we are at so the 9th is okay. So there will be another episode of Loki after this Black Widow movie drops. So there could be a possibility that Loki and Black Widow could tie in with each other. Since this is a prequel, Loki's traveling through time. Man, you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to watch that movie as soon as I can. We can review it if you'd like on this show maybe next week.
Yeah, I guess so. Sunday.
If because the 9th would be this week. So yeah, man, we'll watch Black Widow. Fuck. Okay. You know, I don't know if I really want to do spoilers for a movie that just came out.
You know what? Why don't we do this? I'm gonna watch it anyways on the 9th because I'm gonna support her.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we both watch it? You know what? And if there's a Loki tie-in, we'll talk about the Loki tie-in on Sunday's show.
I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll watch it, and if we talk about it, maybe we'll do one. Well, maybe we'll do one talk spoiler-free, and then we'll say, okay, guys, we're gonna get into the spoilers at the end of the show. If you haven't seen it, turn off the stream, and we're gonna do a spoiler talk. We'll do 2 reviews: spoiler, non-spoiler. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me. Now, here's a question for you though: how long before you could talk spoilers? Okay, because you remember when the Avengers happened, and they were like, "Well, I don't want to go to the movie theater because there's too many people," and you go, "Well, I want to talk about it." And they go, "You can't." You're at a party and you're talking to somebody, and they go, "Oh, I love that movie. I loved when." And they go, "Spoiler alert!" You're like, "Dude, it was 6 months ago." What's the timeline on that?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna say if it's still in theaters, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
So the minute it's gone from theaters, you're good.
That's not what I'm saying either. Let me think. I think that you should at least have an opportunity to have. I think after. Let me think. You have to at least wait for it to have been released at home. Now, in the world that we're in now, the question is, should you have to wait until it's on a streaming service? That's the next question. And I'm not quite at that point yet, but I think that's where the spoiler bans will eventually go to, is if it hasn't been on Netflix or Disney Plus yet, you got to shut the fuck up.
Listen, man, the second of the Endgame, the second event, the last one, I went to the theater on the opening day. I went at noon. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I figured it was going to be stupid packed. So what I did was I bought my guaranteed seating, my preferred seating. I bought 2 of them.
Sure.
And the reason I bought 2 of them was so nobody was sitting beside me, and I went by myself. And I just said, "Fuck you." And then the guy's like, "Hey, can I sit here?" I said, I bought the seat.
Yeah.
And he said, "Wait, you bought 2 seats?" Yeah. I said, "Yeah, because I don't want to be fucking bothered. Now shut up."
Yeah.
And he just kind of like, "Oh, easy." I'm like, no, I paid for these 2 seats, so I don't want to be bothered. You call me a dick, I'll buy the whole goddamn row if I want to.
There you go. That's the way to do it, though, man. You want to make sure you're not spoiled. You got to see it opening day or pretty damn close.
And I don't like to be bothered. Like if it's the first time I'm watching a movie, I don't want to be bothered. I want to watch it. Yeah, and then, especially when my wife likes to talk through the whole thing, that's why I went and see it on opening day, because there was some time travel. So I can kind of explain to her what I wanted, what's going on. So I went and see it the first day. I said, if you want to go back, I'll go back with you. And then you can ask me the questions.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it, man. I agree 100%.
And people go to me, like, going to the movies alone. Absolutely. Oh, it's the greatest thing of life.
Yeah, man. Trev Poulin's got an interesting point that I didn't see. He said there's an Avengers Tower in the background. I think that means in the when Loki reappears, there's an Avengers Tower in the background. I didn't notice that. I thought it was
Asgard. I didn't see. Is that Stark Towers then?
I don't fucking know. He's saying because there was an Avengers building. There's been several Avengers buildings, I think, actually, because I know one was the Anaheim Convention Center, because I've actually been there, and then there's a few that weren't. bottom line is he's saying there's an Avengers Tower in the background. I didn't notice that. That's an interesting Easter egg I didn't pick up. So
I'm just having a peek here. Okay, you know what?
Trevor Poulin is an
Actually,
extremely observant person.
you know what? Yes, on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
as I am looking at it now, on the right-hand side, it looks like Stark Towers has been broken.
Oh
And
wow.
it looks like it's an they're saying it's a apocalyptical Earth.
Apocalyptic Earth.
Yes,
So he's
post-apocalyptic
basically-
city Earth.
So he's basically, so let's break that down. It's a post-apocalyptic Earth with several different Loki variants.
Correct. Now I'll show you. I will send it to you on Messenger. But no, to me it looks like there's only three people in there in that final scene.
Three people and the kid's holding a lizard.
Oh, is the kid's holding a lizard? Okay, I didn't.
Yeah. See, yeah, that's why I said 4. Yeah.
You have your Messenger up? It's right there for you.
All right, cool. Let me just take a look.
So
on that.
look on the right hand side, and you'll see the looks like Stark Towers. Good eye, Pool. I thought it was Asgard.
On the right hand.
Right hand side.
Oh yeah, eh? Damn. Yeah, so that brings up a whole other thing. So he's not in some prison. He's in some alternate reality with all these Loki variants that are going to help him out. And I don't know. What are we going to see? Like a team of Lokis? Who knows, man? I don't know what to expect. Next episode's going to be wild.
I'm stoked. I'm excited for it. And I'm excited for everything this week. Marvel week this week.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm going to end the stream.
All right, guys. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to like, subscribe, view. Tell your friends. You tell your friends. Give them the link. Give them the link to our Facebook page as well as follow Junk Drawer Videos. And also, don't forget to hit the little bell button to make sure you get the notifications when we go live.
Absolutely. And I'm also going to say that if you see somebody talking about one of the stories that we're talking about, take one of our videos and let them see, because we're one of the best kept secrets on the internet, and you can help spread the word by sharing those videos.
Friends, take the right video to it. Like if you see somebody talking about Britney Spears, don't drop the Loki one. Make sure it's the Britney Spears one.
That's a good tip too. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.
Guys.
Thanks for watching, guys, and have a good one.